and welcome back to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt. We're going to start off as we always do and go over what we've been playing. I'm gonna go ahead and preface this edition as the COVID edition for me because I got COVID after the last time we recorded. I probably had it while we were recording.
You dodged it for like 3 years, so I mean
I
that's
dodged
impressive.
it for 3 years, and like I'm fully vaccinated, and like at the end of the day, it was 2 really bad days of like laying in bed in agony, and then it was just like having the flu. So,
yep.
But those 2 days of being in bed really sucked.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
yeah, man.
it just was a terrible headache. Like
Mhm.
body aches and just awful. So
That's what happened when I got it too.
But because of that, and I mean, you ended up still going to the Midwest Gaming Classic, so we'll talk. You'll have stuff to talk about that. I did not get to go because of COVID. So, but I have 3 things to talk about. 2, obviously, well, 1 really big game, the big hot game, which I'll start with here, which is Resident Evil 4 Remake. So I've played a vast majority of it now. I've not finished like my first playthrough. I'm very close to the end. And the only reason why the other night is because I had a hankering to watch RoboCop, so I stopped playing and watched RoboCop. But
the newer one, right? Not the old one.
Yes, no,
You
the
like the hot
2014
new
reboot
remake?
where he
Yeah.
gets blown up instead of
In his driveway.
shot to death. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
We'll talk about why I watched RoboCop in a minute because that'll play into it. But so Resident Evil 4 Remake, I've played a vast majority of it. It's, everywhere it's getting 10 out of 10s and everything. And it's exactly what I expected to happen because this game, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, this game was very important at the time it came out. It changed the way we play modern action games.
Well,
Very
yeah,
much so.
I mean, yeah.
The over-the-shoulder camera. It was not the first game to do that, but it was probably the most popular game to do that. Because remember, wasn't there like that, there was a PS2 game that did it right before. A war shooter. I always forget the name of it, but it was like right before, and then this came out, and this is what really modernized it. So, so it's important for that. But as I've said before, like in the hierarchy of being a massive Resident Evil fan, it's lower on my list. So, and I'll say now that I've played a majority of it, I've gotten to the parts that maybe people don't want to remember about Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, I mean that game takes. Like we talked about it before. That game takes a pretty hard turn at a certain point.
It takes a couple hard turns.
Yeah.
Like when you start the game, and I've said this before, Resident Evil 4 is a fantastic intro that pulls you into its world and its story.
Mhm.
And they do a great job of kind of retooling that intro a little bit in this version, but keeping it the same at the same time. And again, it does the same thing it did, almost 20 years ago. It pulls you in. And then, for the unsuspecting player who doesn't know, I think most people obviously know today, at some point the game becomes a babysitting game because then you get the
it takes
president's
a big
daughter.
turn when you first get to the
That's
castle
turn
that
1.
first time. That's turn 1.
Turn 1 is getting Ashley because then
Right.
you have to start juggling her. And I will say 20 years later, they haven't really done much to fix those problems. You can there is 1 or 2 sequences, and I don't think you could do this in the original version, but it's been a while since I played it. But there are a couple of sequences where you can actually tell her to go hide in a locker.
Oh, you
which
could
is
do that
cool.
in the original.
Could you do that in the original?
some
Okay,
parts? I remember specifically.
But it's not the part
where
you
you-
want it to be.
That's true.
Let's put it
But
that
I
way.
remember specifically, I think, where you remember when you first faced the chainsaw ladies? There's dumpsters
Yeah, okay,
and
that's
stuff. You
the
could tell
part
her,
I'm thinking about.
Get in
Yeah,
there.
you can tell her to get in there, and then they don't bother her.
Yeah, then they leave her alone.
Again, helpful for that part, but and we'll talk about it in a moment here, but when you get to the castle,
Yeah.
the very first thing when you're walking up the stairs, and this literally paralleled to 20 years ago when I first played the game. Walking up the stairs, Ashley goes in front of me, boom, here comes the cannon, hits her, she's dead. And I'm like, well, this is exactly Resident Evil 4 as I remember it.
Mhm.
That sequence still sucks because it's either she's dying or you're dying because you are running out of healing items from saving her. So it's an annoyance that still exists in the game. Obviously, then we've talked about. At this point, the game's almost 20 years old, so
Yeah.
obviously there's the other harsh turn that game takes, where you're fighting I forget what they're called in this game. I always call them the whatever, like the Gestapos or whatever. But
I forget the word too. Yeah.
I forget
It's
what
been
the
so
name are.
long
But
since
when they
I've
turn
played
into
it.
the army version of those characters, they
Yeah.
have guns and stuff. That's where it gets off the rails. But what I'll say that they've done a really good job here is during the castle part, when that part of the game has the the creepiness to it with the cult people. They've amplified that a lot more in this remake. And so there are parts of it that are pretty fucking creepy at times with those people like chanting weird shit. There's the one enemy that has like a little flame that he'll kind of wave it back and forth. And if you walk into a room, he'll chant something. And then any one of the cult people that are trying to get you, like their heads will explode. And then obviously it shows like it's not Ouroboros. I forget what version of this is. So
the Las Plagas.
The Las Plagas. Okay, there we go.
I think that's what I
remember. Ouroboros. So.
Ouroboros.
There you go. I can tell you all about Resident Evil 5.
Yeah.
But and that's again, it has the same problems I had with it like 15, 20 years ago. So for me, like playing through it, it's part of the reason why I kind of slowed down on it was like, I know how this game ends. It's not going to end any differently. So, like even the stuff that I was kind of excited, like when they put out the trailers, like, oh, maybe they're going to change this or that about the story. Not really. We talked, I think last week about how they, when you start the game, they show that dog that's dead. Yeah. And it's like, oh, maybe the dog, isn't in the game. Maybe they, no, the dog's in the game. They just put it at a later point.
Sure.
So like later on you find the dog and then they do a good job of like really fucking highlighting that you saved that dog during the El Gigante fight. They do like this great zoom in on the dog as he howls at the moon and then jumps out. It's pretty good. I thought that was well done, but for me, like I said, Resident Evil 4 is not my favorite, so it just brings up those issues that I had, and they didn't really fix any of that stuff. Then you have to pile on that up until today, at the time of this recording, the Xbox version has had this dead zone problem with the controls. So it's already, and like, for me, like, I didn't really notice it as much until when I played today, and they fixed it, and now it's like, oh, wow, this plays a lot better. So, because you're missing a lot of shots. They have put out the Mercenaries DLC today, which I played around with that. That's probably my favorite part of this whole package so far because I love Mercenaries mode. It's exactly the type of Mercenaries mode I want it to be. Like they tried to put Mercenaries in Village and it just doesn't work in first person. That's probably the hardest part about it.
Yeah.
But obviously it works great here. And we'll talk more about Mercenaries mode because there's some characters that are omitted and there's kind of some stuff about it we'll talk about when we get into the news. When it comes to this, there's also something else they did with this patch that people are not very happy about, but I'm still having an okay time with it. I'll easily finish it this weekend. But I told my buddy today, before I played Mercs, then after, I was like, man, when I finish this playthrough, like this is probably the one remake where like I'm just going to be done because I don't really care like I cared about 2 and 3. But now that I play this Mercs mode, I kind of want to play more of that. So maybe I will leave it installed. So we'll see. But so I played some of that. And then the other big game I played once I kind of recovered from COVID and my girlfriend kind of recovered from COVID. And I think I mentioned it maybe a couple episodes that I had got this, and we'll have a good deep dive on it now, is Gotham Knights.
He did it.
So we did it.
Gotham Knights.
I'll preface this first by saying I bought 2 copies of this game because I have 2 Xboxes, one for me, one for my girlfriend, and I paid less than the price of what it would cost for 1 copy by a significant margin. So a couple months later. So this game is heavily discounted all the time.
You think?
The thing I'll say is like it has problems. I don't think the problems are as bad as like the first thing I compare it to. I would kind of give it a little comparison to like Marvel's Avengers with some things, not everything. I don't think it has problems where I think it's as bad as like the multiplayer portion of Marvel's Avengers, where it's like, oh, here's the black screen. What does that mean? You just have to reload the game. Like there's nothing like that.
Yeah. The classic.
It has crashed every time that we've played it. It has crashed at least once. And it's usually me because it always happens when you're just swinging around the city. Like you're literally just grappling around the city and all of a sudden the game will just freeze. And what's annoying is then, so like I'll have to back out and then I'll go back in, I'll invite my girlfriend back into the game. And then it's like, oh, well, I saw this cutscene. Well, cool. Now we get to watch that cutscene again because I haven't seen it,
Yeah.
So that gets annoying. The other thing that, and I knew this going into the game and I tried to explain this to her before we played the game because she's the one that came. She's like, well, she's been replaying the Arkham game. She loves all the Arkham games. And she's like, I really want to, try Gotham Knights as well. And I told him, like, you need to be aware, like, this is not an Arkham game. Like, this is not meant to be an Arkham game.
Yeah, it's a looter. Yeah.
What that means is that it does not have the Arkham combat.
That is so weird.
Know that. When you start the game, it's a lot of mash and X. So until you start unlocking powers, well, I shouldn't say powers, abilities.
Yeah.
But then again, it has kind of the same thing where like you upgrade different gear. You can change your outfit. You can change it to all sorts of crazy colors. You can update, like I think there's like 15 different suits per character.
Oh my God.
You can make different variations between them from just what you unlock. And that's just leveling up and stuff in the game. That part of it's actually kind of cool. The other thing that's a real, like, it's a bummer, but I've gotten used to it, sadly, is like the game is 30 frames. It's not 60. We've talked about that in the past. There's no reason for it other than they wanted to force ray tracing.
But and wouldn't the other reason be that was originally supposed to be on last gen consoles too?
It was absolutely. And then they decided, well, we want to have ray tracing, but we don't want to give people the option to play without ray tracing, so it has to be 30. At the time I'm playing it now, the game has had like 5 or 6 patches, and from my understanding, it ran a lot worse until I started it frame rate wise. Frame rate, like I've gotten used to it. Does it suck compared to playing, a 60 frame game? Sure, but it's not unplayable. The thing I'll say that it does, like the best part of it, and the thing I think it's done really well, and the reason why I wanted to play it is it does dive into the Court of Owls storyline.
Yeah.
It's a little weird because Batman is a very central part of that storyline. And obviously this game, he's dead, or, maybe he's not dead, but he's not part of you discovering the Court of Owls, which is really bizarre. But the way they handle, like, discovering the Court of Owls, getting in there, all the cutscenes, it's like it's very much exactly like the comics. It's very dark. It's not like
Talon.
So they talk about I haven't gotten to the part where you start fighting them, but they've talked about like how they create them and stuff, which is
okay.
Cool. But the only other medium that's tackled the Court of Owls like so far is that Gotham show, and they did a bad job. So this is much better than that. Like, they just didn't understand their idea of it was like, it's kind of like Eyes Wide Shut without people banging. And
you know what, though?
No,
like, that's not, but that's not a terrible way to go with it. Like, if you're going to go do a TV show of it. But again, that TV show's biggest problem was there was no Batman. So a lot of this shit doesn't make sense. Like,
we have to age certain characters up. Like,
yeah, you and I have a very weird, like, love-hate relationship with.
There are things that show did really well, like Riddler and Penguin were done fantastic. When they brought in the guy that became Joker, he was very good.
He was very good.
Like, other parts of it, not so much. So.
Just all over the place. Like, keep trying to hint at, like, remember, like, his wife, but then she was crazy. It's just like they kept like faking you out with characters.
Oh, with Gordon, yeah. So, and that's the other thing that's weird here is because, like, so this game obviously takes place in a world where Batman has died, which you remember the end of Arkham Knight, Batman is dead. Mm-hmm. So they could have tied this to that, but they decided in this game, let's not do that because we want, once again, to have Ra's al Ghul be the main bad guy.
Yeah.
And then the way that game starts is like a 10-minute cutscene of him and Batman just fighting in the Batcave. Until finally he's just like, there's only one way. And he literally blows up the cave and kills both of them.
Cool.
And then sends out what they call Code Black, which then goes to,
activates
Batgirl. And then tells them, like, hey, now you have to go work it. They work out of the Belfry. Which I laugh because in the game they're like, yeah, this technology is outdated. Like, we don't have this technology today, man. So I don't know what you're talking about. Like, just crazy shit. But every character also, like, and this is probably one of the best parts of the game because I thought that they made a big deal in Arkham Knight about, like, okay, you can drive the Batmobile, but they just turned it into a fucking tank. So it didn't work all the time. This game, every character gets a motorcycle, and just driving around Gotham City is fun. Like, it works really well.
That would be a better way to traverse for sure.
Yeah.
So there aren't, like, you can make different variations of it, but it's everybody has a motorcycle. So
sure.
Okay.
I'm playing as Nightwing. My girlfriend's playing as Red Hood, which I don't like the characterization of Red Hood in this game at all. He just I don't know. They've made him like almost as big as Bane in some ways, and that just doesn't seem right.
Good Lord.
He's still hot-headed. I mean, he's a character that is hot-headed, so. But other characters, they do a really good job. Like, there's a big thing going on with Penguin. The game starts out with a murder mystery with Kirk Langstrom, which you obviously know as Man-Bat. The game also is like it's still, I believe it's only rated T, but it's pretty fucking dark. Like, you're investigating a murder scene in the first like part of the game you actually play. The only other, the last thing I'll say about it, which I think is a bummer, is like to get to the point where you can play with somebody is like 3 hours of fucking tutorial.
Oh man, that is a lot.
And I didn't know that when I started. So like I started the game, I watched this cutscene, and then I go, because I'm playing in the office, my girlfriend's playing on the TV on the living room, and then I go out there, I'm like, okay, and she's just she's just kind of like standing outside of this gate, and I'm like, did you even watch the cutscene? What cutscene? And then I had to have her go back and then watch the cutscene, and then as we started playing, I'm like, okay, I guess I have to do this first part, and I do the first part, she does the first part, and then it's still, we cannot play online, so I finally just had to Google it, because I'm like, when does that happen? And like, oh, it's a couple hours in. I'm like, that's not great.
That's crazy for a game that's designed to play like that. Yeah.
It's weird. So, but I'm not having a terrible time with it. Like, at the end of the day, that's the weird part, is like, I went into this game like after hearing all the trash about it last fall, like, oh, I'm probably going to hate this. And I find myself kind of enjoying it. So it's fun to go around the city. And it's fun to go around the city. There are no, like, when you and whoever else you're playing with are in Gotham City, there are no barriers.
That's good.
You can be anywhere you want to be in the city, unless it's a mission where you have to go inside a building.
Sure.
And you both have to be there. But I literally be on one end of the map and she could be on the other end of the map. It does not matter.
It's like Dead Rising 3.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, unless you have to be inside.
Do whatever you want. Well, and the way the game's kind of broken up is like every night you do patrols, kind of like Batman would do. And then you have different missions where you are not even missions, but like, let's say you'll have to go beat up different groups of thugs and interrogate them to get more information about the bigger cases. And then maybe after like a night or two of doing that, then it will be like, okay, here's the next actual story mission is unlocked. Now you can go do that because you found enough information. It's not a bad way to structure the game.
No, it's not.
Right.
There's collectibles and stuff in the game as well. Like they made their game. Like they made their big open world experience. So, but I'm not having a bad time with it. So I don't know if I would sit here and recommend it to anybody other than maybe the most hardcore of Batman fans. But
sure,
because it's just interesting to see this storyline. Once we ever finish it, I'll talk more about it, but again, that depends on her and I's schedules for when we can actually play together. So, but we had time because we both had COVID. So
yeah, it
got to a point where I'm like, well, we could play Gotham Knights, I guess. Cause like we both don't feel like we're dying anymore. So, the last thing that I threw it on here, and this was I did this on a whim because I didn't go to MGC and I had money that I was going to use at MGC. My cats have been just destroying the sound bar that I have in the living room to the point where it's like I have to turn this thing up as loud as it goes to hear people talk, and I know there's a problem. So maybe I think it was last Friday, I just went on Best Buy and just looked at them like, what do they have? What kind of clearance stuff do they have going on? And I found my OLED TV is an LG, so I found an LG soundbar that was at a really good price, but it also has 2 rear wireless speakers and is Dolby Atmos. And I've never used anything Dolby Atmos, but it was a clearance deal. Plus they're giving you a $200 Best Buy gift card. I'm like, I'm just going to do this. It's fucking awesome. This isn't game related, but I watched WrestleMania last weekend all with Dolby Atmos. Like it's great. Like the way the way you can hear the crowd, it's like you're there. It's absurd.
That's cool.
Resident Evil 4, like most of the games that I've tried so far have Dolby Atmos. Resident Evil 4 is a really good game with Dolby Atmos. Gotham Knights is, but unfortunately when we play it, we have headphones on, so that doesn't really matter. But I loaded up the other day just to see. I'm like, I wonder if this game does, and it does, so which is cool. But it's just been a lot of fun to see that. So, and that was the reason I had this gift card. So I was like, well, I'm going to buy a couple of 4K Blu-rays that I might want. And one of them was RoboCop. So I was like, I'm going to watch RoboCop.
The mystery
with Dolby
revealed.
Atmos.
Yeah.
So, But that kind of pretty much wraps up like what I've been playing, the COVID edition. So I will flip it over to you, Dan.
Yeah,
for what you've been playing.
I didn't play too much. I mean, this is the time of the year where, baseball came out the day that we recorded last, and since then I've put in, I think my timer's at 80 hours of baseball.
Okay.
A lot of that is just because there's a lot to do this time, and especially as someone who likes trophies and stuff, they really want you to play through each mode this year.
Okay.
So I've dabbled in a little bit of each thing. Obviously the card collecting aspect is the thing I play the most. And, this year the card collecting stuff is really different because they've decided to, for anybody who's played a sports game before, you guys, even if you don't, how it works where, they're rated. Some guys are 99 overall and they have the best stats and all this other kind of stuff. And in the past, it's been, I guess you would say, kind of like a slow release where there really aren't 99s at the start. And they're really, at the start, it's really kind of people start generally capped at like a 90 or whatever. And the point was to get cards, collect cards, or earn cards to build your way up. That's out the window this year. This year, it's there's 99s available day one if you get them. Which is kind of weird, but they're trying to structure it in like a seasons mode where, for the first 50 days of release, it's set 1. And then after that, it's set 2. And then after that, it's set 3. So if you want to play competitively online, there'll be events where you can only use set 1 cards. You can only use set 2 cards. So you'll essentially have to rebuild, the best cards in your roster. An okay idea in practice for people who can play competitively. As someone who doesn't care about that at all, and I just like to play the single player stuff in there, it's my team's broken to hell within 2 weeks because I'm already got like almost 99 every position because the programs and stuff where you earn cards, it's not hard to do. But I don't really care so much because it's fun to get cards, and they do incentivize you for using other ones that you might not use because that'll give you experience in a different like program or something. So I'm doing a lot of that. The major thing this year, I talked about it before, was they added all that Negro League baseball content.
Yeah, have you tried that?
Yeah,
I finished it because it's. I don't want to say there's not enough of it, but it's very specific. Where like there's 8 players, and you play through like important moments in their career. So, and they'll talk about the guy. They do like a little video of the guy who's like the president of the Negro League like Hall of Fame, and he talks about the players. It's really cool. It's very interesting as someone who loves, especially old baseball,
like baseball history.
Yeah, I love old baseball stuff too. So like that part is really good. There's not enough of it for me. Like I want more. I want whole teams. I want to be able.
Well, is that all that? Is that all
teams.
That's going to be in this in MLB 23? They're going to add more of it like down the road.
This is called season 1. So maybe I get a content dump, in a couple months. I could see them adding like 2 more players maybe by the end of the year, and the next year adding more. Like I said, I would want like full teams or some kind of way to like play a mini season in that kind of stuff with old parks. Yeah. But I think this is just step 1. I think next year will get expanded on and expanded on, expanded on. But it's very, very interesting and cool. And like as you finish each player's like episode, you get his card. If you finish them all, you get a better card. So that's fun because then you can use them in your Diamond Dynasty stuff. So everything kind of like merges over. So that's really good. I like that part a lot. Happy to announce that in Road to the Show, they did add my last name audio back in because it wasn't there. It wasn't there last year for some strange reason. But they obviously went through and recorded a lot more names. So I can have my guy's name in Road to the Show again, be my name, which is good.
But it's still, and I think you might have said this last time, but it's still very much a PS4 game you're playing on PS5.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like there's still the same dumbass glitches and stuff it had last year. Yeah, like, I'm not even talking about like new things that are popping up. Exact same things are popping up. Where Diamond Dynasty, where it'll just fail to load my team's logo, or it'll fail to load my team's name, or if I played in. There's like a mini seasons mode in that where it's like 28 games.
Yeah.
You'd play a game and then it would finish and it would be like, your team beat, and then it would just be like an error name, like none parentheses, because it can't load the name or something.
That's good.
What was the other thing? So a big part of the Diamond Dynasty stuff is the World Baseball Classic just happened, which is think of it as like Olympics, like just for baseball.
Yeah.
Where every team fields a team. But and then there's things where you play events where it's like, oh, this guy hit a grand slam to win this game, play this event and recreate it. Okay, fine. You go in there and it's, I forget the teams I was playing as, but it was, I want to say it was like Great Britain and the U.S. or Venezuela and the U.S. or something. But when you would go to like, after finishing at bat, it would go to the next inning, the team names would pop up and it would say like Brooklyn versus Bowling Green or something. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, how does this work? Like, these are teams built into the game. Why is this happening?
Yeah.
Whether it's lazy or just a glitch, it's just more things of they dump all of their time into making this new Negro League mode great. They tweak Diamond Dynasty. Okay. They barely touch franchise, and then like all this other like weird stuff just doesn't work. So the game needs an overhaul, and I think it's still because they haven't dropped last gen, and let's be honest, they probably won't for next year either. Just because
it's a sports game, and those are always the last.
I told you the argument is now that it's on Switch, it's even harder for them to do that.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
This is the first year it's on Switch, right?
No, second year.
Second year, okay.
Yeah,
I can't imagine that's a good version of that game.
I'm sure it's probably fine because I used to play it on Vita, and it was really good.
True.
So, and it's just baseball. It's not like it's constant shooting, running, and gunning kind of stuff. It's each play is a little thing. But having a Switch version isn't going to push the PlayStation version forward, and certainly with the way Xbox works, where it's technically a 1 and a S game, so it's caught in this weird thing where it really needs to be redone, but sports games last forever on console. They're trying new things this year too, where there's like today just launched like an Easter egg hunt in the game, so it wants you to figure out. You have to collect these eggs to get better cards, but they don't tell you how to get them. It's like playing through certain modes and stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting, but when you gate this stuff behind competitive play or like forcing you to play online against other people, it's not as fun for me just because the game's online still has a latency problem still. It's just, and baseball is a game where latency's a bitch because it is specifically about trying to hit, a quote unquote 100-mile-per-hour fastball and reacting to that in the game.
It's like playing a fighting game online.
Yeah, it's just rough because frames matter. Because that could mean if I hit it to the left or the right or whatever, the game tries to compensate for it in a certain way because it kind of like slows down. But it's still not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I got the platinum today. Oddly enough, today was the first day you could have gotten it because there was a trophy tied to something that released today at 2:00 Central Time, and I got the platinum. So I got the platinum at 2:00 and 30 seconds because you literally had to load into a mode, and then it would pop the last one, and then I would get the platinum after. So harder than last year's, but it was really just because it made you play all the different modes. Mode, which is fine. That doesn't bother me. I'll probably still play a bunch just because that card stuff is addicting to hell. I wish it was the kind of game where I could just buy it digitally so I didn't have to keep putting it back in every time I wanted to play a couple games, but I'm a sucker for those collectors, so it is what it is.
I mean, maybe at some point they'll put it on that plus thing, and then you don't have to put your disc in anymore.
That's bullshit. They won't ever put it on there. They still haven't put the old ones on there. What harm is there?
They haven't put 22 on there?
No, they haven't put any of them on there. The best they ever did was I think they gave you 19 as a plus game.
But when did they give that to you? In 2021?
Right before 20 came out, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
But the joke of it is what harm could there possibly be in putting 20 or 21 or even 22 on there at this point?
When your direct competition service has it day one.
Right. Mean, to be fair, Xbox takes, 22 is not on there anymore. Because they understand
very fast.
There's no point for that to be up there anymore.
No, there isn't.
On a Plus service that you own, it really seems like all old versions could be on it. And if you want to limit it, fine. Leave it to old versions that still have online play on them. That goes back to, I think 19 is still currently able to be played online. But it's just insane that those aren't free. Because you would think maybe 22 isn't free, but 21 is. So somebody goes on there and they try out 21. They go, wow, I actually kind of like it. Maybe I'll just buy 23. Wouldn't that be the goal?
I would assume so. Like
that would be the goal, but
I don't understand. It's just it's a stupid thing.
It's a weird one.
Other major thing I played, I mean, major quote unquote, is you and I played more Outriders. I just want to talk about it more again because like we've played a considerable amount since we last talked about it. It's still perfectly fine, but we're running into some glitches here and there, like that thing the other night where it kept telling me to go in here and then out of here, but it turned out you hadn't turned in a quest, even though I had.
That was weird.
The game has really bizarre sync issues with like how it keeps track of progress. Because every time we start that game, it's always like your progress isn't the same. Well, how could it not be?
The other thing too is like I don't think it was when we played this past week, but maybe the week before. We had that situation where there was just a quest where it keeps showing in the dialogue for this person to turn in a quest. But
it still exists. It still exists last week.
It's still there.
Yeah,
like, I don't understand that.
And then when you pick to turn it in, it goes to a weird cutscene of a blank wall, and then it comes back and it says done, but it's still there.
Exactly.
So, yeah, obviously, we've talked about it before. I think this is a game they kind of gave up on at a certain point.
Oh, absolutely. You got your expansion out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that stuff's fine, but it's over now. Like, they're not making any more.
We had some difficulty spike problems with, because we're always up in that world tier thing every time just because I feel like that's the way that game should be played.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get into a choke point. Yeah, you get into a choke point where they just throw 5 of the hardest guys at you at one time.
They just literally chase after you.
Yeah, you have to run in circles.
Yeah.
Overall, it's still pretty fine. Like
it's on the Plus service now. If you have that,
I wish quest tracking was better. I wish like fast travel was better. It's so insane to me that you have to go to talk to this guy to access the truck to go to a different area, and then you can fast travel within that. No, I should be able to fast travel from any travel point in the game to any other travel point in the game. This is
without talking to that.
This is 10-year-old fast travel technology. Like
it is for sure. It feels like that.
It's just dumb. So that part kind of holds it back. I mean, I'm still having fun with like the character skills and stuff because I now have 2 turrets that can like freeze and poison people at the same time.
Yeah,
and like shoot rockets. So like
my guy's all about fire.
Yeah, it definitely knows how to build like fun like
and like
skill trees and stuff.
We still have quite a bit of that skill tree to go. Like even to the point. I mean, obviously you're not going to unlock everything because you have to structure.
But we finished like one, and I'd say we're like more.
But I'd say we're like maybe 1/3 of the way to the end of it. Maybe even 1/4. Like it's pretty big.
The other thing is I can't even tell like how long the game is.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
like
it's weird because
it keeps going.
Yeah, it just keeps saying like we got to get to this next point, but then like to get to the next point, you got to do 3 other things in some ridiculous boss fight. So it's a weird game, but I will see it through. It's enjoyable, which is fine. Yeah, I enjoy it. And then the other thing I did go to MGC. I mainly picked up some Super Nintendo games that I was able to find because I'm buying a lot of like baseball games. Like there's just a thing that's like collect all the baseball games. So I got a couple weird Super Nintendo ones I hadn't really ever seen a lot before, like Relief Pitcher, and what else did I get? Super Bases Loaded 3. I picked up Tecmo Super Bowl 3 just because I kind of want to get all of those, although Tecmo Super Bowl 2 is crazy. I love going to this convention. It was nicer this year because it was in a bigger hall, and like all of like the board game stuff was moved out of this room into its own thing, like downstairs.
Okay.
Did you get to see the like World of Nintendo thing or whatever?
Yeah, so that was a little like it was in one of the smaller rooms, and it was just kind of like, what if you walked into a store that sold Nintendo stuff, but it was 1992?
Okay,
and they had like the old like. If you've ever seen it, like the Game Boy countertop demo unit where the thing's locked in, but there's a TV on it.
Yeah, those were cool.
They had 2 Super Nintendo kiosks. They had a lot of old promo art. They had an old Earthbound promo thing, which was super cool.
Oh, nice.
They had one of those old, it's not an interactive, but like, remember how you'd go to like a Service Merchandise or a Sears or whatever, and there'd be the TV and it would be like, it would just roll ads for games, like commercials for games, but you could push a button and it would be like, "Show me the Earthbound ad, show me this ad, show me this ad." I had a working one of those, which
that's insane. That's still working 30 years later.
So cool! Like watch.
That was the thing I was most excited to see. Obviously, in the night,
it was a cool thing. Like you're in there for 5 minutes if you're just looking at stuff. Yeah. But it's cool. Old Zelda promos.
From, you look at all the pinball.
Oh yeah, we went in there. It's funny because
stuff's always awesome.
A lot of the pinball machines they had, like the newer style ones, are. I think I told you my father-in-law, his business just got a bunch of them. Yeah, so it's funny because I was like, oh. I've actually played all 6 of these and stuff because I can kind of go play those whenever I want.
That stuff's really cool.
They had that, they had little video game museum things set up and some old arcade stuff set up. Like always, those are always great. The vendor hall, like I did accomplish my goal of finding all 3 Final Fantasy games. I paid $35, which was $5 more than I wanted to.
That's fair.
But I got Lightning Returns sealed.
That's a good deal.
So, there were 2. Like, I had been looking. Lightning Returns was the one that was the hardest one for me to find throughout the entire day. And I guess, it was just
it makes sense.
The weirder.
They didn't make as many copies.
It's the weirdest one of the 3. But finally, I got to this like one booth in the middle that had a lot of PS3 stuff. So I started going through it, and sure enough, 2 copies. And one was open for $10, but the case was kind of damaged, and then sealed for $20. I was like, you know what? I'll just do sealed for $20 because I do want to play him at some point, but that's obviously going to be the furthest one out. So I might as well just buy it sealed for now for $20. Yeah. And then what else? I'm trying to remember other things I got. I got a couple other, like smaller PS2 games and stuff, like nothing special. And then there was one weird incident, which I told you I'd tell you this, so I'd save it for here. So we were at this one booth. And it was one with the, like, the ones with the bins are the best part. Yeah. So, like, I'm digging through this bin of stuff on the table, and I see Final Fantasy 11, the spine of it, Final Fantasy 11 for PS2, says beta version after it. Yeah. Which is crazy because I haven't seen one of those. If I did, it was back when, like, it first came out.
Yeah.
So I pull it out of the thing, and I'm like, this would be a good thing to have just because of, I collect all this shit. And the price tag, and this is just in a bin I can pull stuff out of. The price tag on it says $500 on it. And now I don't know if that's what this is worth. It could be, just because it is a weird thing. And if I haven't seen it as a Final Fantasy person, it's probably hard to get. But it's literally in a bin I can pull it out of, like mixed in with $5 games. So I look at the guy, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't written as like 5.00 and not like whatever. So I pulled out some other games to match it with. No, it was 500. So I told the guy, and I said, is this really $500? And he kind of looked at me like I'm an idiot. And he said, well, it's the beta version. I said, no, I understand. I get it. But you probably should not have this in here.
Yeah.
Because, like, the guys have, like, the locking glass cases around the thing where, like, they put the higher stuff in. So you have to, hey, can I see that kind of thing?
Which all that stuff is probably less than $500.
Yeah, a lot of it was. And this same booth had, like, Super Nintendo's, like, he had a box of Chrono Trigger in this glass thing. So, like, clearly he has the capability to do this.
Yeah.
And I said, well, hey, man, like, if I were you, I'm just saying, if I were you, I wouldn't have this in here. I would put it up behind me, or I'd put it in the thing over there. And again, he kind of looked at me like I'm an idiot. I said, I'm not trying to be like a dick. I'm just like, I could have, you weren't looking at me when I picked it up. I could have turned around and walked away. Like, do people steal at this thing? There's probably some people that do.
Absolutely.
Some people do, but probably not a lot, to be fair. But this guy wouldn't have even noticed. Would have had no clue if I'd have just turned around.
No, he would have no idea.
And he kind of looked at me, and it was funny because a buddy of mine was standing next to me, and he agreed with me. He's like, yeah, you probably should put this away. This is a guy who used to work at a GameStop.
Yeah.
And, where we wouldn't be caught dead putting something that expensive on the floor where somebody could just pick it up, and it's, it's the size of a PS2 game. And he kind of looked at me, and he just slid it back into the bin in front of me. And I was like, whatever, man. Like, that's on you. Like, is somebody going to steal it? Probably not, but it's $500. Even if you don't care about it being stolen, if it's so rare and so expensive, wouldn't you want to put that in a prominent place so somebody could potentially see it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, like, who else is like, anybody else would have just seen Final Fantasy 11 and moved on.
Yeah,
but I noticed it was a different version. It was just a weird interaction because most people at that place are super cool. They'll deal with you.
Would have been like, oh yeah, and they would have put that in the case.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you could have held a handful of those games and just been like, all of these are $5. Here you go, and just walked off.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, there's so many times where there's so many people, and people are not paying attention to everything that's going on.
Yeah,
you could literally pick up like a stack and be like, hey man, would you do like 20 on these 3? and they'll look at the names of them and go, yeah, sure. Like, what if I put my finger over the beta word on the side? Final Fantasy 11, that's $2, you know? It was just bizarre. Like, it, again, even if you don't care about like theft or whatever, it should be in a prominent place where someone can see that you have it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the whole point of this thing is to put out your incredibly expensive stuff where people can see
$500.
God, and like we've talked about it, and everybody kind of knows about it. Like, pricing on stuff is insane.
Yeah,
it's so all over the place. What was the craziest
bad.
thing I saw? Yoshi's Story not for resale for $64, $5,000.
$5,000.
Is that real? Is that the correct price? I don't know. Maybe, but do I ever see it? No.
Yeah.
But the other thing is like, so I talked about I got Tecmo Super Bowl 3, so I'm looking for 2 as well. But 2 is a harder one to find because there aren't as many for whatever reason. One guy had it for $90, and I was like, well, that's kind of where I would think, but I think I'll wait. And then I walk over to another booth, 5 minutes later, $150. I'm thinking, well, shit, maybe I should go back and get the 91. Because if this guy's paying $150 for it, like, I'm sure there's probably a game within this thing you could play where like you buy something for $5 at one and then flip it around the thing, because you can wheel and deal while you're there and trade shit.
You can.
But if I could have bought that for 90, went to that guy and be like, "Would you give me 120 for it? You're selling it for 150. You'll make $30." So it's just a weird place to be, because you kind of have to be on top of everything. Like, you guys wanted me to look for stuff for you too, and like I had those in my head and I was looking. Like Eternal Darkness, I don't think I saw a copy of it, and if I did, it probably would have been in one of those.
It would have been
class
expensive.
Things. I found that Batman game,
like
but it just seemed too high for the show. But then I never saw another one. That's the other weird thing, is sometimes like a game that should be multiple copies everywhere, you just don't see.
You would think there'd be a shit ton of copies of that. I mean, it's not the best one, obviously, but it was a Batman game.
Yeah, and it was difficult for me to find 3 Final Fantasy 13 games, and in a room with 100,000 games in it or whatever. Yeah, but I had a good time. I bought some Super Nintendo stuff I wanted, and some PS2 stuff, and I got my. There was a couple things you walk out of there later like, man, I forgot to look for this, I forgot to look for that, but it's whatever. It's the fun of it. But and it was also weird too, because it was actually pretty packed. I mean, it always is, but considering C2E2 was the same weekend and actually not that far apart from each other, I'm kind of surprised that this was as busy as
I didn't even know that either until the weekend.
Until too late. Yeah.
Damn.
And I was like, oh, C2E2, that's weird that it's this weekend. I don't think you and I, we haven't been to that. We kind of stopped going to that to go to MGC.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. That's kind of why we changed up. But it's the kind of thing where maybe I go to that one next year, but I don't think they'll end up being on the same weekend again.
I don't think so. I think that was just
they're just kind of a weird fluke kind of a thing. But MGC always a good time. The only downside was, if you're smart about it, you've never been before and you're planning on going to one before next time, eat before you go in or plan to eat after you leave, because otherwise you're paying $5 for a bottle of water inside this building.
Oh yeah, for
sure. Fucking insane. And then like the local pizza place up there, like ran out at a certain point, and they were like, we're going to have more pizza here in like 20 minutes. And people waited in line.
Oh yeah.
For them to get more pizza there. It's like, homie, just leave the convention center and walk down the street. There's like an indoor like
you
food.
Can get right back in. They mark you.
No, they give you a wristband. But like,
that's right.
You remember there's that food court thing I went to.
There's stuff all around the convention center.
2 blocks down, there's a food court.
Yeah,
just go there. So yeah, super fun. I went with a bunch of friends, and that was good. And we hung out and watched WrestleMania after, which I got to watch the Good Night, so that was good.
You got to watch the Good Night, yeah.
Got to watch the Good Night.
Oh man,
yeah. I mean, we'll definitely be back. I didn't, I don't go to any of the panels or anything because, I'll be honest,
I'm not there to see the panels because, like,
I'm there to look for games.
Watch that on YouTube.
I'm there to look for games,
I really
play games.
Care,
There was a really awkward stand-up comedian guy out in the main hall. It was really funny too because he was out there trying to do terrible jokes. But the hardcore band was like over here, so it's just like walls of sound, and you could not hear this guy. But yeah, it was good. That World of Nintendo thing was very cool. I would, if it should probably come back again, and you'll be able to see it again.
I would imagine it'll be there next year. My last question about it: did you see Billy Mitchell?
No, we did not. We did not see
Billy Mitchell
the disgrace of Billy Mitchell.
Not like when we went and I literally almost backed into him. They're just like, oh shit, really that's Billy Mitchell.
And that was right after
that
disgrace. And he's here.
Like literally like 2 weeks after. I'm like, oh, he's here peddling his hot sauce.
Oh, it was just people were taking pictures and stuff. It was just super bizarre because you literally almost ran into him.
Well, I don't even think was he standing by a booth. He was just standing in an aisle.
No, he was kind of like he was just standing in the aisle, and that was when it was in a smaller room. To be fair,
yeah.
But that was really funny because we were like, wow, man, showing your face right after that, huh? That's
whoa,
bold decision.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was the MGC adventure.
How about you, Matt? What have you been playing?
So I took a break from Assassin's Creed. Probably definitely need to get back in it though. Started playing some more Shadows of War because I just want to 100% this thing. And right now I'm at the point where it's a bunch of like revenge killings and just trying to murk some of these leaders and stuff. So that's really what all I've been doing is just running around killing people. Which again, if you haven't played that game, just give it a shot.
That's the fun of that game is hunting those orcs and
it's super
having them come back.
I know it's not that expensive right now because it's an older game.
I saw today the Xbox digital sprint sales going on. You can get it for like $6. I think like everything,
dude,
like all the DLC and everything.
Cop that because that game is just so much fun, and you don't even really need to play the first one to kind of get what's happening.
Okay.
You can if you really want to. Like if you become a fan through the second one, go grab the first one. It's super cheap too.
You can get that even cheap. I think that was like $4. So.
Yeah, look, $10, man. You get both of them.
You get both of them. Exactly.
They're fucking great. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna try to play through the DLC too because I bought the collector's edition, so I have the steelbook and all that jazz. So I just want to go ahead and get that in and get it done. I have been trying to play some more Sons of the Forest. I'm at the point now where I'm really just running around trying to like find loot so I can like build stuff. So I haven't gotten too far into it. Sure. I think today I was able to play maybe like an hour and a half of it, but it was a lot of just like finding shit.
Okay.
So like I've been killing a lot of turtles because it's the only thing I keep running across. And some like monkey people, and I don't really fucking know. But the cool thing about that one though is like when you set fires, you can throw bodies on top of the fire, and they'll still light. Yeah. And then you can get bones and stuff, all of that. So like
that was in the first one.
Oh, was it? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I killed a bunch of monkey people and set them all on fire, and I like sat on a throne of all their bones, and then another monkey guy came running at me, and then he kind of saw what was happening and kind of backed off and ran away. And I was like, well, that was pretty cool. But yeah, I'm going to try to dive into that when I can this weekend too, because I really like both the first one and right now the second one, or the prequel and the original, whatever, however you want to put it. Another thing I found on Steam like a while ago, I heard about this game called Nazi Furry.
Okay.
And I
read it as Nazi Fury, and that's how I was like, I don't know.
That's a different game.
Yeah, it's a different game. I thought it was Fury too, but I think it's Furry. Furry. Okay. I think that's what they're leaning towards, and when you play the game, you'll kind of figure out why. But it's like a puzzle game. And so it's like the puzzle game where you have to put blocks in a specific spot. And so you have to you get like one chance to move all the blocks around to get them all where they need to be. If you fuck up, you have to restart again.
Sure.
But when you win, you get like little posters.
Okay.
And
are we talking like a honey pop level of stuff here?
Yeah, kind of, maybe. Yeah, I think so. I bought it because I remember reading about it one time, and I told my wife is into the weird games online, so I bought it for her because I was like, I think you'll appreciate this one. This is kind of weird, and yeah. So we've been looking into it. It's funny though. It's not like horrible, but definitely don't play it around your kids. But I mean, and I got it on Steam, and it was like $2. because I think originally it was like 8 or I think I want to say 6 or 8, and it dropped it down. So I was like, well, you know what, $2, whatever. I'll just grab it and see what it's like. It's fun though. I mean, it's just a puzzle game. Gets your mind off things sometimes, so it's not too bad. But that's really all I've dived into this week. I do want to also say that I forgot that I am actually going to a con next week.
Oh, next weekend?
Okay. Yeah, there's I don't really know what's added. I think it's more toy based, but I really feel like it's going to be games there too.
Yeah,
those always show up at like toy cons.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, yeah, I'm gonna look for stuff that I need, but I'll kind of keep my eye out for the stuff you guys said too. So I mean, if I run across anything, I will let you know. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell right there.
The only other thing I'll add, because I just remembered it, the second day that I was bedridden, I tried to play the Steam Deck a little bit, and I ended up buying it. I think it just had come out that day, a Metroidvania game called 9 Years of Shadows, I think it's called.
Oh.
And it's a Metroidvania. The gist of this one basically is that the world is black and white and you're trying to colorize it again because somebody's taken all the color out of it. But it looks really nice. It plays very well on the Steam Deck. It's very much like any Metroidvania game is going to play well on a handheld. So
yeah.
But it was the kind of thing where I bought it. I was like, oh yeah, I'll be able to do this. And I maybe got a half hour in. It was like, my head is killing me. So I have not gone back. I'll go back now because I just remembered. But I literally have not turned on my Steam Deck since that day. So,
gotcha.
But that was the one other thing. I forgot to throw it in here. So, but anyways, we can shift gears and we can jump into the news here. The first news article I have here, which I thought it makes sense to me, honestly. Bloober Team, which is working on Silent Hill 2 remake, has come out and clarified, because I guess a bunch of things were coming out, like a bunch of rumors of like, oh, the next Sony showcase they're going to be dating this game and stuff like that.
Well, there was talk where they were like, it's done, and you're like, what?
Yeah, and they kind of came out and said, no, we're still very much in development. The game's likely a 2024 game. So
I mean, that's what I would have thought from the start. I mean,
I would imagine it's a spring 2024. Like, we're probably a year out from that.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And that makes sense.
Oh, for sure.
But I did laugh at all the stuff where it's like, rumors are saying it's done and it's ready to go. No. And they're like, wait, what? No.
No. Next thing I threw in here just for, a good laugh, even though we know it's a commercial and critical failure, Volition and 2K are still pushing forward with their DLC plans for Saints Row, the reboot.
So weird.
They're doing a bunch of crazy updates where they're like overhauling the combat of that, like hand-to-hand combat.
There's a roadmap.
Some of the driving. There's a roadmap, and they want to have all this. They want to have all this done by August of this year, and I'm thinking like, so maybe August of this year is when the game should have come out.
They remember they were talking about like how it had failed so hard. They were rethinking their strategy for this kind of stuff.
So why push?
Shouldn't that have just been the end? Then? Yeah,
it's weird.
Or like maybe it doesn't need new content. Maybe it just needs some patches. Like I
guess it's a weird situation. The next news article I have here, which I thought was interesting. So I want to say we talked about this last time we recorded because it was just announced then. But that Lego 2K Drive game.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a bunch of previews for it now. People have got to play it. It's out next month, so it's not. Like
it's coming.
It's pretty much done. Apparently there's people are seeing a lot of technical issues with it. So a lot of it has to do with, maybe this game shouldn't be coming out on older systems. And it brings up that, argument again of like, why are we still catering to these 10-year-old systems?
Well, the other problem is like we are at a point where it's almost 2.5 years into this cycle.
Yeah.
And systems are available. Like I was at the store a couple days ago, and I
you sent me a picture.
It's like, which PlayStation 5 do you want? Because they got all three of them.
They have all of them.
They got the regular, they got the bundle, and they got the digital one. These aren't hard to get, and yes, they are expensive. But if you go back and you talk about like inflation prices and stuff, I mean, it's really not.
There's that, but also like PlayStation literally has a bundle that's on sale now for like $10 more,
right?
Than it costs normally to buy a PS5. You can get one with God of War,
right?
That's a pretty good deal,
but. We're talking about games like 2K Drive, which are literally were just announced. Why is that coming out for old systems?
Yeah, exactly. Why are we still catering? Like, even look at a good example I'll bring up is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Originally was not going to come to last gen systems.
They added it.
Then they decided to do it. But here's the important thing: that game only came out on PS4 and PS4 Pro. It did not come out for Xbox One.
Right.
There is no Xbox One version of it because at some point they probably looked at the hardware could not handle that. Which I don't know if you've seen any footage of the PS4 version of Resident Evil 4 Remake, but that hardware can barely handle
it's not
that.
Good.
Yeah. Like, I watched the Digital Foundry video on that, and again, that highlights like why, like, at this point, unless it's a bunch of indie games or 2D platformers or stuff like that, why are these major, big, huge titles still coming out? Like this fall, I guarantee you, like when we finally get to the point where we talk about Spider-Man, which is coming very soon.
Yep.
Do you think they're going to all of a sudden go, oh, by the way, it's out on PS4? I don't think so.
They can't. They can't.
I don't think so.
No.
And the other argument I make there, look at how many copies Spider-Man, the last, I want to say it was like 50 million copies, the first Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I want to say Miles Morales was like 20 million.
Sure, and so
that's 70 million copies, right? Like, you want people to buy a PlayStation 5? They will fucking buy a PS5 for Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
Like, and especially if you sell a limited edition Spider-Man PS4 bundle with that.
Sell those fins that have this symbol, like white.
I should be able to buy. I should be able to buy like the game package with the fins.
You should,
maybe I can get a collector's edition that comes with
a controller or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, a controller and fins pack.
There you go.
That's pretty hot. I would buy that. You could do what 150, 120 for that.
I wouldn't charge. Well,
70
I bought
for
those
a
black
controller,
fins
50.
for mine, and that was like 50.
Yeah, so you can do 120 for the set. I would do that.
I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, that's my point. Like, I don't think at this point, when they do officially come out and say that game's coming out in September, they're going to go, oh, by the way, our PS4 owners are going to get that game as well.
It's
not like
first off, this Spider-Man 2, the regular version would melt a regular PS4.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You want to talk about like is your system loud? You put Spider-Man 2
My system got loud when I played.
Yeah.
My system got loud when I played the original Spider-Man game on the PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
So, like, I couldn't imagine today playing something like Resident Evil 4 on that.
Well, and especially like if it would do that damage to a PS4. Remember, there's no Pro games that aren't PS4 games, so you can't have one without the other. Like, just please don't. At that point, it'll have been 3 years that a PlayStation 5 has been out. You can buy a system for that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a not shocking news article. I'm surprised it took this long, but E3 has been canceled.
It's just unbelievable.
At this point, I would imagine it's dead, right? Like, I don't think it is going to come back. Yeah.
Well,
none of the major companies want to get involved.
Yeah.
I think what was the last company that pulled out? Wasn't it Ubisoft?
Ubisoft pulled out. I think even Sega said they were like weighing their options. Like, when you're down to like Ubisoft and Sega, and Sega might not be
Ubisoft
there,
who are already struggling right now, saying, "No, we don't want to be a part of this."
If Sega tells you, maybe not, then it's done, man. Like
again, as we've talked about, like, there's always still going to be those other events in the summer. Jeff Keighley does his Summer Games Fest.
Right.
Microsoft has a conference planned for June.
Jeff Keighley's thing has essentially replaced the digital E3.
It has. It absolutely has.
Plus, everyone else releases content on their own schedules.
And that's fine.
Yeah. That's how we like it.
They control their own narrative, and they can go when they want to. Nintendo.
You can't tell me that when Nintendo comes out and they're like, hey, guys, we have a Direct next week, people aren't immediately hyped. Like,
no, that happens every time.
And they announce them.
They do it 2 days before. 2 days before. It's not even a week. It's like, hey, you know what? Tomorrow we're going to be talking about some games.
Yeah.
For a long time it was
tomorrow. You guys
for a long time it was.
You guys want 45 minutes of just new games for the summer? We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
Like, for a long time it was. We'll talk about new games, not Zelda. But now Zelda's coming out. So what's the next game they're going to have to put that in? Metroid? Like, we're not talking about Metroid Prime 4.
Well, they don't. They already don't, and they just pretend it doesn't exist.
They just pretend it doesn't exist. So, but again, like, they'll have their E3 thing. Sony has to go pretty soon. Like, Sony has to be getting ready to show a bunch of stuff, right? Like, not even just Spider-Man.
They'll have a state of play for that, and some DLC stuff, and then they'll do 30 minutes on indie titles nobody gives a shit about. And
well, I was gonna say mixed VR 2 titles.
I don't know, man.
Garbage.
VR2 it's already a failure, right?
It's already a failure. So, well, when that thing is higher cost than the fucking system,
when there's a $500 buy-in price to buy the $550 VR headset,
that's a little steep. So, I threw this in here for fun. PGA Tour 2K23 is coming. It's not out yet, right? It's coming soon, like maybe June or something.
Yeah, that one is.
John Cena is a playable character in that game.
Fucking awesome.
Does he golf? Like I don't know. What's the reason?
What I know.
Like, no, he came out. When did he come out today? He came out today.
Okay. But like, is he like normally a golfer? Like, it just seems like an odd DLC. Like, we got John Cena in this golfing game.
It also has Michael Jordan and Steph Curry in it. So
Michael Jordan makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just a crossover. Like, this 2K.
That makes sense.
Try to drive up both. Maybe we should get some golfers in WWE 2K. That'd be fun.
That'd be dope.
I don't.
Arnold Palmer.
This next one, I don't really know much about. Like, I'm a Dragon Quest fan, but I'm a very like soft Dragon Quest fan. I'm not a diehard. But this, and I remember the title of this game is terrible, and I remember that. But Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest: The Adventures of Dai. I think I said that right. It's finally coming out this fall. I think this was announced a while ago. I'll be out on PS5 and PS4 this fall. It's based on like a manga, I think.
It's an old one. An
old one.
The Adventure of Dai stuff is old Dragon Quest stuff.
Okay. But that finally has like a release window, which is pretty cool because I remember they talked a lot about it like maybe a year ago, and then there's been nothing about it. So,
well, they did that
I'm
whole.
Still waiting for.
Remember, they did that whole like Dragon Quest special, and they talked about a bunch of games that wouldn't be out forever and mobile games in Japan.
And that was one of them, and I think the other one was like, we are working on the next Dragon Quest, which I would assume would be 12.
They did. They put out a logo screenshot for Dragon Quest 12. And then they're like, don't ask us anything else.
It'll be a while.
Yeah.
2022 Game of the Year, Vampire Survivors is getting its second DLC next week for the great price of $1.99 once again. The thing you'll like about this DLC specifically, Dan, each of the characters, and this is not they did this on purpose, they're all based on Final Fantasy classes.
Oh,
so you have a fighter, a rogue, a mage. They did this on purpose. I was watching like earlier this week, they had like a developer interview on, I think they had like an Xbox indie show. So, but again, it has a new level, has a couple new character classes, still no vampires for a game called Vampire Survivors. But again, it's $2. Why wouldn't you at this point?
It's so weird.
What a great game. So I look forward to playing more of it next week. I tell Matt too, like I haven't played any of it in a while. I didn't even finish the last DLC. I got pretty far in it, but I look forward to returning to it now and playing this as well. So any DLC for that game is very welcome.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought this was funny. Arc 2 has been delayed that they can put out a remaster of Arc 1 this end of this summer.
I was like, the cycle of people playing Arc is still happening. I just I thought that one would have died off a lot quicker.
I remember originally playing with a buddy Arc on the Xbox One, and it played like absolute trash.
Yeah.
Even on the Series X today, it does not play well. So maybe a remaster will help that game, but like, just make Arc 2.
Just make the Vin Diesel Arc game.
And that was the thing I laughed about because I saw the little picture of Vin Diesel. I'm like, oh, that's right, he's in that game for some reason.
Remember that big announcement?
Yeah.
So weird.
Where I think we all thought it was a Turok reboot, and then it was like, no, Arc 2.
It kind of looked like it, and then I just never expected that to become Arc 2 by the time.
No, I legitimately sat there. I was like, man, are they making a fucking Turok game with Vin Diesel? I mean, that makes sense. And then it was like Arc 2. Oh, okay.
For the family, man.
For the family. They announced Microsoft keeps putting out new controllers. I still want that lime green one we talked about last week. This is kind of cool. They're putting out a new controller. I think you could reserve it now. It's not out yet. It's out soon. But it's a controller made partly from reclaimed CDs, water jugs, and other like recyclables.
Yeah.
The color is ugly as hell, which you should expect because it's made out of recyclable goods.
Yeah.
But it's a cool thing. So it's a little higher priced than a normal controller, but it's because it comes with a rechargeable battery.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
you get the back.
I think it's like 85 instead of what do they normally go for, like 60, I think. So.
Yeah, but if I'm getting a play and charge kit, so why wouldn't you just do it?
Yeah. I can't justify, like, I literally just bought that Stellar Shift controller, and then that green one came out, and then I know the minute I buy that or this, they'll make the orange controller I've always wanted. So
right, well, of course,
steer away for that. It's another episode of the podcast. So what would it not be without an update on Xbox, Activision, Sony, and all that bullshit? So basically, from my understanding, I know you've read into it too, Dan. It sounds like Europe, the UK, they've pretty much agreed, like the deal is okay.
Well, because they came out and they were like, they're not gonna. It would not make sense for Microsoft to not put Call of Duty on PlayStation. They finally realized, like, they would do more harm to themselves if they did not put the game on there. So they basically said, "All right, you know what? It's not a problem. We're fine. We're moving on," kind of a thing.
Sony, and I like at this point, I'm just gonna say Jim Ryan, because I don't feel like the whole of Sony. I don't think
it's mainly him.
Jim Ryan,
yeah,
it's mainly him. But he's called it surprising, irrational, and unprecedented. This man literally thinks that his business will crumble because they're gonna not have Call of Duty.
Don't have all game. Yeah,
like
they don't have one game that releases every year, once every year.
I think the thing I said to you earlier this week was like, if we were still living in the times where that Sean Layden guy was in charge, do you think any of this would be that big of a deal?
No.
Probably not.
They would have. He would have been like,
he and Phil Spencer were cool. No. They would have made their deal.
The thing is like Microsoft would have been like, we'll give it to you for 10 years, and he would have been like, make it 15, and they would have been okay, fine.
Like, would have been like,
that probably would have been how it went down.
Exactly. I don't think he would have gotten all this regulation bullshit that we're getting. So.
He probably would have been like, all right, we want that, but then we also want to like lock in like future versions of Diablo, or like there would have been other things where it's like, whenever you get to Diablo 5, you have to give us that one too. Which knowing full well that's a decade away, but there would have been other concessions. But like, Jesus, dude, like we talked about it like with Europe, or basically like the UK, deciding that this isn't going to be a problem. That's the first domino to finally finishing this.
It's one of the biggest one. Yeah,
it was. Aside from the US one, which that's not going to happen either, because none of that stuff ever gets blocked. But
no,
it's the first step towards finishing this.
Yeah, agreed. Now, as I promised, there's a bunch of Resident Evil 4 news that I'll go through here. First, I thought this is funny, and I'll ask this question without you looking at the article. Resident Evil 4 Remake sales have topped 4 million units already. It is the second fastest selling Resident Evil title of all time, the remake. What is the first?
I think we talked, isn't it 7?
It's not 7.
No. 5.
No, so 5 is up until Monster Hunter Rise was Capcom's best-selling game of all time.
Oh,
it was not
okay, like overall, not fastest.
Yeah, and then Monster Hunter Rise destroyed it. So,
well, I mean, not Monster Hunter Rise, just Monster Hunter World, right?
The answer, the answer is shockingly Resident Evil 6. At the same juncture, sold 4.5 million units.
This doesn't make any sense
in the 2 weeks. But then, if you read in the article, it says after that point, it took almost 12 months to hit 5 million units, because they realized this will crush it, and easily I remember we had week be the fastest.
We had a midnight for it, and it was pretty big. Like
Resident Evil 6, there were a lot of people.
We had the big TV up. Remember, we had the big TV up on the counter behind us, and we had this. And we had because that was a game we could put up ahead of time.
Remember, they pushed that game forward 6 weeks, too. It was supposed to come out in November that year, and they were like, whatever, we'll put it out early.
Huge marketing. Remember the logo?
Again, it made sense.
That guy blowing a giraffe.
Yeah. I don't know. Resident Evil 6.
It's a game that exists.
I don't know. I bought the collector's edition of that one.
What was in the collector's edition?
I don't think I did. I think I skipped
1 through 5.
Oh, that's right. I remember there was a.
That's the whole reason I bought it, because I was like, I really would enjoy like a newer.
Wasn't it 2 discs?
The ability.
I think so,
because I think it was a different SKU, but I think it also was like, weren't some of them digital?
Yeah,
there was something about it.
1 through 4 were digital, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
and then 5 was
Yeah.
But obviously that's the first part of this. They put out their update today, so they added Mercenaries mode, which I said, I've played. I've enjoyed what I've played of Mercenaries mode, but the problem, or at least the issue that people have, there's a couple issues. Is that one, people are mad because it doesn't have everything unlocked right away. I don't know why we're mad about this. That's how the original game was. You have to play it to unlock characters. It is what it is. But there are, and this is where it gets a little dirty, they have also updated to microtransactions, so you can just buy that stuff.
That's stupid. I mean, I get it,
but it's the kind of thing where like they're doing the same thing like Activision kind of did with Crash Team Racing, where it's like, okay, the reviews have come out. Okay, let's put all this dirty stuff in now.
Yeah.
Remember the crash? I mean, the Crash thing is a little more extreme because they literally changed how you unlocked things in the game to make it harder to push people for the microtransactions. Right. They're not doing that here, but it's still a little bit dirty. The other thing that came out today was they put out the update for the Xbox version specifically to have the Dead Zone issue fixed. So that's fixed now.
That's good.
But in this same update, and I played a round of Mercs mode. I didn't notice it myself, but I've not actually played the campaign, so maybe that's where this shows. They have also apparently downgraded the visuals in the performance mode that people have noticed, and I've seen screenshots and stuff. So I'm assuming it's tied specifically to the campaign. And like I said, I haven't gone back and played any more of it after this patch, so I can't speak to it specifically.
Yeah.
But playing the Mercs mode, like, it looked the same to me. So I don't know. But people are obviously upset about that. So, but again, it's more Resident Evil 4. The last thing I'll throw in there is there are 2 characters in a map missing from the Mercs mode.
From the original version of it?
From the original. So, and the 2 characters are Wesker and Ada. They have people that have done, digging around in the PC version have found like the placeholders for those characters. So they do exist. What people think is that obviously the game does not have the unlockable Separate Ways Ada campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So the rumor is that that's going to come out this summer and have that content.
Sure.
Now, again, that's fine.
$10.
You start charging for that. Yeah, you're going to charge for that. People are going to be pissed. So,
well,
but I fully expect it.
like $10.
Especially if you're remaking that and like with voice acting and everything, they have to charge for that somewhere.
It sounds like a $10 content pack to me.
Sounds like a $10 content to me. I think you threw this in here. The Final Fantasy Pixel remasters have their official date.
Yeah. This whole thing was weird. So basically I ordered it. I remember I was able to get a copy on Square.
Yeah.
I get an email a week and a half ago saying, hey, we still don't know when these games are going to come out, but we're going to have to charge you on like the 5th. And I'm like, okay, it seems a little weird that you're going to charge me and still not tell someone who like pre-ordered it when they're coming out, considering most places don't charge you until like when it ships or like 2 days before. I mean, the Square store, I think I've talked about it before. Square store has always been trash, will forever be trash. It is expensive. The shipping costs are outrageous and you don't have a choice. It's just the whole thing about it is awful. So I get that email and I'm just like, okay, I guess, whatever. That means it's probably soon, I would hope. And then finally, yesterday or a day ago, they're like, yeah, it comes out the 19th. And I'm like, okay.
They put out a trailer.
That's fine. That's 2 weeks. I'm excited. I get all 6 of those games. They added more. They added another font option so you can have the new one, which is awful, or you can have a good one. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm glad they're coming. Like, again, you can buy them piecemeal if you want. People like to bitch that it's $75 for all 6 until you realize there are 6 full fucking games in it. Of course, it is $75.
Yeah,
like, don't buy them separate if you are eventually going to get them all, because I think some of them are like $18 a piece. But
it's weird. Like, certain ones are higher than others. So I think it's like 6 is the highest price.
Yeah, well, that makes sense though, because that's the biggest of the games. But I laugh at this. Like, people are bitching that this is $75 when by the time Final Fantasy VII Remake is done, you're paying $200. So you pick your poison, dude. Like, it's damn.
What does it really matter?
Yeah, it is what it is. Could it have been cheaper? Sure, but they're not. They know what they can get. They could have got more.
I went on the Square store because I first went to play Asia but PlayAsia only has the Switch version right now, and I want if I were going to buy physical, I want the PS4.
You'll end up having to get like the Hong Kong edition, which has English.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be what I do. I did go over to the Square Enix store and sign up for like the wait list just to see what happens.
On the 19th, they might get like 1,000 more, and then that's it.
It'd be like, do it now.
Yeah, it's
so we'll see. Because the more I thought about it, I was like, if I want to do this, I'd rather have a physical copy of it.
Again, you know, so, the shadow drop at 2 a.m. It's fucking dumb.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'll get
that's your journey in a couple weeks.
Oh my god, that's like my whole fucking summer.
I think the same day that comes out, I have that, and I don't know if you're getting this too, but the Mega Man Battle Network
that comes out right around there. Advance Wars is right around there.
Advance Wars is the 21st.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like right there. I mean, the good thing about these is, you know, I don't have to play all 6 of them in a row, and
no, you can play one and
at
take
a certain
break.
point, it's going to be a bit much. Like 1 and 2, you can bang out pretty like one after the other. 3 is when the whole series kind of changes. But you know, like I said, I'm excited to play like a full version of 3 that isn't like the weird DS version of it. It's coming.
One thing I'll throw in here really quick, and we'll continue because it was a news article. I forgot to throw it in here. It's the Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Oh, I know what you're going to talk about.
It comes out in a couple weeks. I blame this on COVID, but I thought it was like the 9th or something. So I went on the digital store and like pre-bought it, you know, went to preload it or whatever. And then was like, oh, it's the 28th. So like I bought it too early, whatever. I was like, whatever. I got a discount because if you have Game Pass, you get like 10% off. So I was like, that's why I bought it digitally. And I was like, oh, whatever. But then it came out, and we don't know at this time if this will be the file size for the console version.
It
has not been clarified.
Not, but
I would hope not. But the PC version file size install for this game is 155 gigs.
That is unbelievable.
I laughed when I read it, and then I keep telling my girlfriend because she has Arkham. She's Arkham City installed, Arkham City, and then Arkham Knight. And I keep telling her, like, you're done with Arkham Knight, right? Because she's like playing something else. I'm like, we're gonna have to delete that.
Yeah.
Well, I might go back. I'm like, we're gonna have to delete that because that's 50 gigs right there. Like, and I'm gonna need 150 for the
150 for Star Wars game.
It seems
Jesus,
insane.
dude.
So we'll see.
Believe that.
I will say after this patch day for Resident Evil, that pushed it from 67 to 88 gigs.
You know what? Though? I don't know. We are at a point where like big time games like 80 to 90 is about where they fall, but that's almost double.
The only stuff that comes close to that size is like Call of Duty, the Warzone,
right?
Like that's pretty big.
That makes sense though, because like that has to load an entire giant ass map. It's patched all the time.
Halo
dozens of people.
Halo MCC is 120.
That's 4 games.
5 is pretty close to that too. So there are games, but nothing is as big as 150
for a single player Star Wars game.
Yeah, there's no multiplayer.
Exactly. What are you installing? So it's got to just be like texture packs, like out the ass, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
What it is.
That's what I'm thinking. I just want to throw it in here. I read that the other day. I was like, what the fuck? This was kind of sad and interesting. I'm not surprised that it finally happened. Microsoft Microsoft decided finally to cut the ability for people to emulate on that like background, like retail mode or whatever, which is kind of sad because you could do a lot of cool stuff with that. Like I've even dabbled in that a little bit. There was a good PlayStation emulator you could throw on there. Which I thought was really cool. They're claiming now it's a long-standing policy. What I think probably happened, and what a lot of people suspect, is that there was a recent Nintendo specific emulator that people were putting on there, and I think that's probably what tipped it over.
That was probably the thing where Microsoft's saying, like, we got to close it. Like, I think a lot of it
we're actually pretty friendly with Nintendo. So.
I think a lot of it beforehand was, we're not going to ask you about it. We're not going to look at it. Whatever.
Yeah.
But when you start putting Nintendo on stuff, like Nintendo is quick to shut down everyone all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So it's sad to see it go because I think it was a cool thing, but again, it's totally their right to shut that down. It's not necessarily something that
it's probably something that shouldn't have existed in the first place,
for sure.
But
and again, if you really want to do all that kind of stuff, you can do it on PC or get a Raspberry Pi or something. Like there are ways to do that. So, last news article, and this was actually breaking news today. I threw it in here. Long-standing 343 employee, and before that, Bungie, Joseph Staten. I believe he had left 343 and returned to Microsoft maybe a month or two ago. He is completely leaving Microsoft. This just broke today. It doesn't say where he's going or what he's doing, so maybe he's going to a different studio or something. I don't know. He's been with Microsoft for a long time, so
yeah.
Again, I mean, you could point towards the failures of Halo Infinite. Another person bites the dust because of that game. I don't know, but I mean, he's a pretty prominent Halo figure, so. It's gonna be sad to see him go because he had a very heavy hand in Halo 1 through 3, and then he's kind of the person that came back and helped get Infinite out the door. And as I've said before, that campaign is pretty good in Halo Infinite. So, and I know he had a lot of hand in that part of it. But
there's one other good news story that we didn't touch on, but I just wanted to bring it up. Was did you see the thing going around about like Sony making a new handheld, but it's not a Vita 2, but it's supposed to just be a fucking device that all it lets you do is remote play a PS5.
I did see that.
Get the fuck out of here. Like, what the hell?
Because I think when it first leaked, it was, hey, they're making a Vita 2, because for like a day, people are like, oh, this is great, exciting. And then it came out like, no, it's just going to be a remote play device.
It's a fucking remote play device for a $500 console. Like, what is
wrong with you? Why
would
I buy that when I can do that
Who
on
needs
my
that?
phone? Yeah,
my phone can do it. My computer could do it. Like, no, stop it.
No,
they want you to buy like the Sony brand one. Honestly, a Vita 2, I think people would buy.
Yeah, I would be interested in a Vita 2.
A Vita 2 that would do that, would do both.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
If it allowed me, if I could get a Vita 2 that, obviously had the ability to remote play PS5 games, it's cool, but actually had games made for it natively,
and it could play Vita games.
That would be cool.
It would have to play Vita games.
If you really want to dig back, play his regular Vita games.
But imagine that would be cool. Imagine like that device, like a Vita 2, and like having the PlayStation Plus stuff, and you could just play all that stuff on your little Vita 2.
I mean, at this point, you would think like a PS Vita 2 should be as powerful as a base PS4
minimum.
Yeah,
minimum.
But I mean,
so why not be able to play all those?
And if it can remote play a PS5, it means you could remote play an entire Plus like library.
If Valve can make a device to play all those Steam games, handheld.
If I can have a handheld PC, Sony can make an actual
play
thing.
The Spider-Man game.
What if it's
on the Steam Deck?
But if it's only a remote play device for a PS5, you have to own too. That's dumb.
No,
that is real dumb.
No, and maybe if you are going to make a Vita 2, maybe don't make proprietary memory this time.
No, don't do that anymore.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Anyways, that concludes the news. We will jump into emails. We got a lot of emails this week. A good variety, I would say, too.
Always good emails.
For sure. Our first email comes from Carrie from Redacted, so you know what that means. As you've grown accustomed to.
It's our favorite, Carrie.
Say, hey guys, love the podcast. I have a question about dress code issues and what you would do. So this be dress code issues at GameStop.
Sure.
I've been a store manager for about 5 years now. I recently had an employee that I promoted from GA to SGA due to the hour cuts, and we had someone leave, so it just made sense.
Sure.
This employee has been with me almost the entire time I've been a manager, and throughout that time, they've gotten various facial piercings. I don't care, my staff doesn't care, and my customers do not care. My DL didn't care until after I promoted him, and now he wants to have a talk, and this is in quotations, with the employee about looking professional at work. I feel this is absurd and a double standard, and I'm in a rock and hard place on it. Did you ever all have a situation like this? What did you do? Thanks.
Yeah, so this boils down to like this happened to me in a sense at GameStop. It was never really a big deal. I know someone who at a different store who it affected like directly, and you'll remember when we talk about it. And then like Game Crazy, but a lot of it goes back to like DLs and higher ups, especially. The dress code at GameStop has changed drastically since when we worked there.
Oh,
drastically. Yeah, it slowly changed while we were there, but then eventually it got crazy. I mean, we're talking like at Game Crazy too. Like Game Crazy, I had to wear khaki pants and a black polo. Period.
Yeah.
Like we always used to joke about it. Like I don't understand. Like it's a fucking video game store, dude. I don't sell office furniture. Like what is wrong with you people? Like I get maybe you think that like, oh, they should be easily identifiable as employees. It's like, yeah, I'm the dude behind the counter wearing a fucking name tag, and I'm kind of the only person.
It's not a Target.
Here.
It's not a Walmart. It's a small.
It's not a wide open store where you could potentially get lost and need someone to help you find something. It is a small building with these days one employee working.
One employee, yeah.
You know, like now it's a lot looser now because I think when we worked there, it was jeans and a polo. It
was first jeans and a polo, and then that turned into, well, if it's a T-shirt we sell, you can wear the T-shirt.
That was towards the end,
and then it turned into any gaming T-shirt you could wear,
right? As
long as it was relevant to the store,
right? Which is probably what it should be because again, we are the one person here wearing a name tag.
Yeah, exactly.
I get to a point where like, you know, wear appropriate pants that don't have holes in them. Wear appropriate shirts that don't have swears and shit on them. Like there's obviously within reason, but like they did have, you know, ridiculous rules about like tattoos, piercings, hair color, hair length, like for male employees, which is like, what the fuck are you talking? Nobody cares. Literally
no one cares.
If anything, there are more people within this culture that understand all of that than any other place you would go. Almost.
Exactly.
Right? Like we had a guy who worked for us who, I mean, he's even more now, but was covered in tattoos.
Yeah.
But like he did the professional thing where they would go up to his wrist and stop so he could wear a long sleeve shirt or whatever. But it was like not that, like, I don't think that would have bothered a single person.
Nobody cared.
Nobody cares.
No, like none of the customers that came in cared. Like none of us obviously gave a shit.
As a customer, if I go to a place like that, I don't care. I also don't care if it's a Target or a Walmart or anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, don't judge people on how they look. Don't be an asshole. Like that's their
exactly.
choice. But there was a guy in our district who, you remember him. He had gauges for a long time, and he was always like a third key, like an SGA, looking to get promoted.
Yeah,
remember. And it always came down to, well, he's not professional looking. He's not professional looking. And eventually he got them removed and actually got like the ear surgery to fix him.
Yeah.
And they still wouldn't promote him because of it. And it was just like, that was our DL that we hated, who wouldn't do that. But like, it was a thing, but I don't know. It's hard to tell like what to do. Like it's definitely double standard if it becomes a problem now that when they're being promoted to literally just an SGA from a GA,
which
that this is a problem.
This is the problem is now.
You have the keys now. You're going to be here by yourself now. That's a problem. Like it's difficult to say.
They're not. It's not like they're going to a different store in a different market.
Right.
They're literally at the same store dealing with the same customers they have dealt with for however long.
Have you had complaints about his appearance before? I don't understand.
That would be the only thing I would throw in is like, obviously I can understand if there's somebody like, I don't like that or something like a complaint. Obviously it's still bullshit, but
you shouldn't take those.
It would stand. There's a complaint, but like if it's just the district leader that's like having an issue with that, I would challenge that of like, why is that an issue now?
Yeah, why is it different?
Because they have keys. Like, who cares? Right. Not the store manager.
Are they unfit for the job? And all of a sudden, like, so why were they here before? Like, people just use excuses for that kind of stuff.
They do. Like, they do.
I literally could care less. Like, I think there was a thing where it's like you can only dye your hair certain colors.
I remember
you couldn't have like blue or green. It was like, they can't do that.
Yeah,
it's like, who cares?
Yeah,
it's hair. They could cut it off.
I remember
tomorrow.
that. I think they kind of relaxed on that.
The thing was too is like those were always in place, but I don't think they were ever really like super enforced. But yeah, I
remember when obviously not when I was working when you were there when we had our store, but when I worked like that seasonal back in like 2006, I remember the first shift I worked, I didn't know, and I wore jeans, and I got very put down like. No, you cannot wear it. It's got to be khaki. Like I wore a polo. Like I knew
jeans
that,
had
but like,
just become a
thing.
You
could not wear jeans.
They had just become a thing like when I started.
I was like in 2006. That was like unheard. You're like, no, you have to wear You have to wear khakis or dress slacks.
Game Crazy was khakis, black polo specifically, unless it was like a polo given to us by a vendor, then you could wear it.
That makes sense.
But even then it was rare, and we had to get like approval for it. Like I had these, and it's funny because I just found these like a week or two ago. I had these Game Boy Advance. Remember when they did the Classic series? And they came out with like Excite Bike and Mario Bros. And all that kind of stuff. They gave us T-shirts for them. And like there was a green Zelda one, and all it had was like the box art on it. It was really small. And then like an Excite Bike one, a Donkey Kong one, all this kind of stuff. We were allowed to wear those for like a week.
Okay.
Because, again, this is advertising a product we sell 1 week. You can have it for 1 week. Come on. But I would, if it was me, like, if this is my employee, I would stick up for him just because, like, I would need an explanation as to why it's a problem now.
Yeah,
I don't understand why it's a problem now.
What's changed? What has changed? He was given a set of keys. Like, who cares?
I don't get it. But they like to they like to pick on people for whatever, and print out the dress code, follow the dress code. It's like the dress code.
I was going to throw in there the coolest thing that I ever got until they relented and were like, hey, you can just wear whatever gaming T-shirt you want. Was remember when they gave us the Final Fantasy 15 polos?
Yep, we had those.
That was a cool get because it was a polo and you could wear it.
Yeah,
so. That was cool. That was one of the better things.
Well, and that's like
You used to get a lot more polos than me, but like they gave those to all the key holders.
Yes.
Final Fantasy 15.
I had
still have mine.
A Red Dead Redemption one that had the wrong date on it.
That was good.
Occasionally we would get T-shirts that we could wear. Like there was an LA Noire T-shirt. And again, they'd be like, you can wear those for the first couple of weeks the game is out.
I want to say the LA Noire one also had
the wrong date on it because Rockstar stuff always gets moved.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but like going through the years, I remember the one I wore the most was I got a Ghostbusters one when that game came out. From Game Crazy, and I was able to wear that at Game Crazy because it was black. So, but again, that place sucked. It's like we sell video games to teenagers.
Yeah, but on the flip side, didn't Hollywood Video have like a dress code?
Longer,
where it was like khaki,
before,
but then
they had to wear remember they had the old weird vests,
and
all that kind of stuff. And eventually they relented on that to where it became jeans. And by the time that place closed, it was jeans and just wear a T-shirt. Who gives a shit?
Well, yeah.
But dress codes at certain places, like a Target or a Best Buy, where it's large enough,
it makes sense
because
it's a huge.
Sure,
exactly.
But in a small strip mall building. It's insane. It should just be
a store that mostly has one employee working. Yeah,
look nice. Wear your name tag. Hair color.
95% of the time, that employee is going to be behind the counter anyway.
Well, no, remember they shouldn't be. They should never be behind the counter.
Yeah. I know.
Ringing it up on the tablet and zapping it to the computer
because that worked.
Never.
It was a flawless. Yeah, it was a flawless thing. Next email we have also redacted.
Ooh.
So we'll continue the trend. This comes from Ryan. He says, hey guys, current manager here. Been listening to the show for a bit here, and I wanted to offer some insight into the Resident Evil 4 Collector's Edition situation. My store had 3 reserves on it before it was cut off. 2 of them were employees, so not a huge hard pill to swallow. However, the third one was from what I would describe as a Resident Evil mega fan. This customer had purchased every CE for a Resident Evil from our store since Resident Evil 7, so I knew it was going to be difficult to explain the situation. Needless to say, he was heartbroken, but there's nothing we can do. From doing a little bit of digging on my end, it seems that GameStop was able to fulfill about 20% of these reserves. How they chose who got them, I have no idea, but this certainly will make this see an extremely rare and sought-after item now. I'm curious if there was ever a collector's edition fuck-up situation like this when you were working at GameStop. Thanks.
20%, man. Like that's.
I remember.
So
I mean, the only one that I remember specifically, but I was the only person that had it reserved was that Batman.
The Batman one was bad.
But I was the only person that had it reserved at our store.
I'm trying to think of.
You called me the day before, like you're not getting it.
The car ain't coming, Doug. I'm trying to remember other ones. I remember in the past with some Call of Duty ones, like the night vision goggle ones in specific, that they didn't work. They literally didn't work. And so people would bring it back and be like, we cannot replace this. We will not.
Or the RC car.
Or the RC car.
1 year was
the fridge.
There was a mini fridge that didn't work. Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
We had one fridge that didn't work. I remember the night vision goggles were especially bad. And we had to tell people, I am sorry, we cannot replace this. The best thing you could hope for is you would have to call Activision, and that's going to be a shit show to get a replacement on that. So some of that stuff was out of your control. Obviously the Batman thing. CEs never used to be a problem before now because we generally knew about them more ahead of time. And that was in a part where GameStop actually got the product we reserved. It was rare. Yeah. It was rare when we were there to not get stuff we reserved until kind of the end. Because that was the whole point. That was the business model, that whole fucking place. And it was. The biggest problem with CEs with fuck-ups were things that were available for maybe an hour. And you had to get lucky. Yeah. Like specifically the Zelda Switch Sword Edition was bad. We talked about that before where, it was never supposed to be in store, but they accidentally turned it on for New York. And they drained the reserves of all those.
Wasn't the gold DS Lite?
Those were problems
Zelda,
too.
That was bad too, yeah.
Like
but that was up reserves, for a very short amount of time.
There were certain things we just shouldn't have taken reserves on. Like obviously this Resident Evil 4 one, it got worse after the fact because something else happened. But I'm telling you right now, had they not taken reserves on it in store, obviously this wouldn't have been anywhere near as bad. Mm-hmm. You and I laughed because we were talking. You showed me that thing where, prominent YouTube people sure did seem to get these Resident Evil 4 collector's editions that were GameStop exclusive in America. But then you went on Reddit the week of, and everybody who thought they were safe were getting emails saying, "Oh, actually, you're not." There's other people posting stuff on Reddit lately too, where it's like, you reserved this Squishmallow like plushie thing, and we're not even going to have that. It's like, what the fuck, man? They make hundreds of those, thousands.
Yeah,
of those.
That's weird.
How many people are reserving those, and you can't even do that? Like, that's fucked up. They would do that to me with like figures and stuff, where like it would be out for months, and GameStop just wouldn't get it. Not CEs, but like when I was collecting Power Ranger figures, and they started to do this like Megazord thing. I decided like I'll just reserve it at the store, and then I'll see it when it comes in. I'll kind of make a game time decision because these are like $120 things. Yeah, and I decided at a certain point before it was even out that I wasn't going to get it. Well, good thing, because it didn't matter because the store never even got it, and I had it had two reserves on it. Me and the one other guy who reserved everything. So it's like, that's not a CE, but that's a big ticket, like collectors, like not like a loot collectible thing, and they couldn't even get that. So like, that's a fuck up too. Or reserving a whole wave of these figures, and maybe half of it comes in, so I have to track it down elsewhere or buy it from the website. Nothing. God, this Resident Evil 1 is bad. It's just
the Resident Evil 1's really bad.
Well, and I mean, we'll see, because remember, I was able to get a Zelda collector's on GameStop's website. We'll see if I get it. Yeah. Right.
Speaking of Zelda, this is funny. I got an email today because I with that gift card, I finally reserved my copy at Best Buy, because I was like, I'll use this gift card to pay for 70 of that. They updated my thing today to let me know, like, hey, we noticed you didn't put the pre-order bonus in your cart. We're going to send that to you, which I think for Best Buy, it's like an art print or something. Sure. But I thought that was funny because I'm like, man, would GameStop ever do that if I forgot?
No, because GameStop's banking on right now that people who got it online will be able to go into the store and get the wood plaque.
I know. The worst thing.
That's never going to happen, ever.
No, it's going to be bad.
I could go there day of and show my receipt, and they'd be like, "Where those are gone."
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see if I actually even get it, because with this Resident Evil thing, I don't know anymore, man. Like,
we'll see.
Yeah.
I thought this was funny. A very short email. Brandon from New York just asks, remake Resident Evil 5?
Yeah, do it.
Yes.
Please do.
My answer is yes.
It's my favorite one.
Before Resident Evil 4, came out, I would have told you, we need to do Code Veronica, and I still want that.
Sure.
But more than ever now that I've played 4, I'm like, I really want to remake it.
I really want to play. I would love to play 5 again, like made now. The game in co-op is so fucking fun.
It's so good. That's the best Mercs mode.
Yep.
Like I would play so much of it.
Everything about that game is good.
I really want it.
I would love to do the Jill fight remade. I wonder if they would change it up.
They'd probably make it easier.
Minutes. No, don't make. I mean, it was already a bitch.
Pulling that thing off of her, they probably make that. It was terrible.
I remember the first time my buddy and I got to that part, we had no fucking.
Seemed like it was like
what you were supposed to do.
Just like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah,
because you're like, do we shoot her? No, she dies. Do we shoot the thing? Yeah, but it doesn't seem to do anything. Like I just remember us being completely lost, and then finally you get that prompt, and you're like, oh my god, we have to do this.
I text my buddy today. I'm like, just think of all the great things if they remake that game. You got Jesus Wesker, you got the Boulder Punch, you got the volcano. So like, there's so many things where I'm like, I just want to see it remade now.
A lot of Ouroboros,
so good.
Some good DLCs.
Ouroboros, great. Both those DLCs are great.
Those are both good.
Just what a great fucking game. So
more Sheva. More Sheva is always
more
good.
Sheva. I think if you really want to, like, we don't know what Resident Evil 9 is, bring Sheva back to Resident Evil 9 and then announce a remake of 5.
RE9 should be double down. RE9 should be like Sheva and Jill.
I want old, like, at this point, Chris is probably what, 50?
He's
close
done.
to 50.
He's done. Oh, well, Sheva and Rebecca
Jill would be around the same age. Bring Jill back.
Yeah, Rebecca.
Do
Rebecca and Sheva.
Bring Rebecca. That's fine. We've already had Claire in the 2 remake. We did her in Revelations 2. That was like a more modern take on her. So yeah, dude, I want to see. I would love to see a 9 that brings back old characters.
Yeah,
it's very clear from that DLC in Village they're going to go back to the over the shoulder camera and they're not going to do first person anymore. That's fine. That's what I want.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think they've realized after 2 first person games,
it was a good idea. It was a good idea. It worked for the most part.
It worked because they wanted to make that game in VR.
Sure.
And then when they made Village, they didn't make it for VR. And then now they've kind of retrofitted to have VR, but that's over.
Please give me that. You want to talk about fastest selling game? Resident Evil 5.
How about fastest and best selling of all time again for another decade? Resident Evil 5 remake. Let's do it.
I'm not even a guy who necessarily likes Resident Evil that much anymore. But
not
5
as compared to me, but yeah.
5 is a great game.
Hell of a game.
And it's all because of the co-op in that game.
It is, for sure. Next email we have is a good one. This comes from Brittany from St. Charles, Illinois. She says, hey guys, I was curious where you all stand on the idea of pro versions of consoles coming out this generation. It seems way too early to be talking about them, yet PS5 Pro is heavily rumored. Do you think that this is all smoke and mirrors, or are we on the cusp of yet new hardware again? It's hard to say.
It's going to happen. Like, it always happens.
Do you really think it's next fall?
It can't be.
We see a new. It just seems too soon.
It can't be, because that means 4 years to get a Pro. It's just like, I don't.
But here's there's one thing I'll remind you. PS4 came out in 2013. PS4 Pro came out in 2016.
I know, but
so that was only 3 years.
But
here's on the flip side. Here's the thing I'll say. Why did PS4 Pro and One X exist in the beginning? Because people were upgrading to 4K televisions.
Yeah.
That's not a thing today. Everybody has a 4K TV.
I refuse to believe that the PS5 that we have now has even remotely tapped what it could do.
No, they haven't. And that's my problem with it, is like we haven't even tapped it because we're still making PS4 games that work on PS5.
Right. Like, until we're in the clear of we're just making PS5 stuff and then we can make shit for this, like I can't even. I need to see at least a year of PS5 and Series X only games. And what's a Pro going to cost? Before we talk about $700?
Yeah, right now, like the only thing I can see is like, okay, let's say you put out a PS5 Pro, make that $500, and then drop PS5 to $400 and the digital to $300. I can see that,
right? But we haven't even had a real price drop yet, so
just that bundle. But even still,
I ain't buying a PS5 until the Pro comes out, so.
It's probably wise at this point, but I just can I see it happening? Sure. I don't want it to happen right now.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
But like we were talking about earlier with Spider-Man 2, like that game is going to use what, maybe 25% of what the system's probably capable
for
of.
Sure.
Think about how all these generations like change. Like look at like a PS2 launch game and like a PS2 game at the end. Or a PS3 launch game and a PS3 game at the end. Like, these things grow exponentially, even on the same hardware. And
look at Layer versus The Last of Us.
There you go. PS2, you want a great comparison on PS2? Look at Gran Turismo 3 and Gran Turismo 4 next to each other.
Yeah.
That's the same game from the same company, and like they do not even look the same.
Yeah.
So, and and GT4 wasn't even the end of PS2.
For sure.
It's just there's no way we're even close to
we're not.
This can do.
I think it'll happen, but
a more powerful one.
The other reason why I would point towards it not happening next year is because Sony just put out the PSVR 2, and that's a commercial failure at this point.
Yeah.
I really think they're going to try and put out a more expensive system at this point when people are just buying the current one because they just were able to get it out?
Like,
I don't think so.
We haven't even seen this supposedly like model that a disk drive detaches from. You can't tell me it would make sense to release that and then a year later make a pro version of that. Then everybody who bought the one that has a detachable disk drive is just fucked. Like, they would have to be the same unit. And maybe that's how you offset the cost. Is like, well, we're taking the disk drive out, but technically the system is more powerful, so it's 500 digital only. But even at that point, it's like, I ain't buying a digital only Pro. I'll tell you that right
now. No, not either.
No way. Because then all the games I've bought this year are pointless until then I buy the detachable disk drive for an extra $100. Go to hell.
Yep.
Exactly.
Like, come on.
Exactly.
I don't need a more powerful console.
And here's the other thing. Right. What's the other big game that's coming out this year that's exclusive and only coming out on PS5? Final Fantasy 16.
Right, and that's coming out.
You can't tell me that game is using 100%.
Not even close. No. Not even close.
I'd say that's probably 25 as well.
You know what game's going to finally start to push it when it finally comes out? Maybe GTA 6.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Whenever it comes out. But yeah, I can see it.
But that's a game that's finally going to start to push it because, in theory, on this system, having played 5 on this system, and it's very good, that's going to be the whole map's loaded the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like that's going to be maybe the start of when you see maybe there's potential for these. But even then, what is the pro version of this system?
Right? Yeah.
8K?
What is it?
16?
They put 8K on the box for the PS5.
Well, yeah. On all of 8K TVs everybody owns.
Everybody owns an 8K TV, right?
You know, that thing your eyes can't really see.
No, 4K, we're hitting the stride here in 4K, so. Next email we have comes from Grant from Oswego, Illinois. He says, hi, and this is a good one. Hi, guys. What is the best video game movie of all time? On the flip side, what is the worst?
This is such a good one. I love this.
It's a good one. I will give you my definitive answers because I thought about it since I
thought about it a lot. I've got a lot of thoughts.
I got my definitive what I think is the best.
All right, so you go first. What's your favorite? What's the best video game movie?
I won't say it's the best. I'll say it's my favorite.
Yeah, let's do that.
And that's 2006 Silent Hill.
Okay, wow. That's a bold choice.
Bold statement, but like, think about it, at the time when that game came out or when that movie came out, video game movies were trash. Well, what did we have? A Dead or Alive movie?
Hey, don't you talk bad about
it's a great, funny movie, though. But yeah, for me, that was where I plant my flag for worst, and it's recent, and I will never watch this movie again. It's one of the only movies that I could never watch this again. Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City.
Oh, yeah.
It is so fucking terrible. Like, and I'm someone who likes the previous 6 Resident movies. I recognize they're not perfect.
I like
they're not
2 of those.
Great.
Yeah.
They're not even great representations of those games, but somehow this new one tried to go even harder into like, well, we're really going to be like the games, and it was even worse.
Well, that thing lost its way.
Just so horrible.
It lost its way after like Afterlife.
But they made Leon a fucking dumbass in that movie. So, it's terrible.
All right, Matt.
So
Matt, what's your favorite?
I'm going to say it. Double Dragon.
Oh, my God. I was going to talk about that as like one I love, but I admit it is fucking bad. I love that movie.
It's hot garbage. It is straight up
it's real
horrible.
Bad.
Like, it's got nothing to do really with the game at all.
No.
Yeah.
Very little.
No way. But I can tell you what, like, that movie for some deranged reason just sticks out as being my, like,
I used to watch it a lot.
It's so bad, it's good.
Yeah. There's a lot that fall into that list, and there's some I was going to bring up, but I'm glad you said it because I do love that movie. You know what, though, to be fair, first off, I fucking love Street Fighter too. Okay?
I do too.
That is a great movie. You know they're remaking that, or they're thinking about it.
Yeah, they're thinking about it.
I mean, I'm all in. John Cena as Guile. I'm in. Let's do it.
I'll watch it.
For the worst one, I think I'm leaning towards that Chun-Li movie that came out.
Oh man, I forgot about that. Holy shit!
Yeah, I think that for me, I think that was a bad. I think I watched a little bit of it, and I was just like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't even have to keep going." Yeah, Double Dragon for me is my favorite. That Chun-Li movie is probably one of the worst.
Okay, so my favorite. I thought about it a lot. Like, I think I'm probably going to go original Mortal Kombat.
Okay, that's fine.
I love that movie. Like, I love that movie.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That would be a very like close second.
It's fun as hell. Like, it's just,
I love it.
It's fun seeing all the characters and stuff. Like
the obvious soundtrack.
Yeah, my favorite. Song, the song alone.
Still great today.
Always a banger forever.
Better than most.
Yeah. But like, I really loved that movie, and I was very into like the Street Fighter movie and the Double Dragon movie, because the Street Fighter one, especially because it's just like, I love seeing all the characters. Like, everybody fucking shows up. Like, they even do that shit where like they make Charlie into Blanca, which is awful, but it exists. And like DJ shows up. Like, just everybody's fucking in that movie, which was always fun.
Yeah.
I admit that it's not great, but it's like, my favorite thing is if you get some downtime, go read like the history of filming that movie. It will fuck your mind, because it is such a shit show of like they're ripping pages out of the script because they don't have time to shoot. Like, it is wild. Everybody was on drugs the whole time.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, Mortal Kombat's probably my favorite. You know, I do like that awful Dead or Alive movie, but
did you watch the 2021 Mortal Kombat?
That one's good too. Like, that
was okay.
It's a good movie. The only thing about that movie is like, I don't get why I'm supposed to care about the main character guy. Like, I just don't care.
Yeah,
I didn't like that they made the made up.
It should have been. It should have been more of like a Scorpion versus Sub-Zero, because they did great with those guys. And like, actually,
it was amazing.
Told you the backstory of them, because in the first one, obviously, you don't get any of that shit.
No,
but the story of it, like, and then the second Mortal Kombat movie is just a mess, because they had to recast people and all that other stuff. That's not good. Yeah, not good. And then the worst movie, like,
Mortal Kombat Annihilation. No,
no, I won't say that. But I avoid. You know, there's a lot of them I avoided just because, like, you could just tell they were going to be like Alone in the Dark, or
God,
what's the oh god, what is the one that I'm completely
any of the Uwe Boll ones?
Yeah, like that, but like Blood Rain.
I was gonna say there's Blood Rain. He made a Postal movie.
He made another one too. He
made a Dungeon Siege.
What's the shooter game movie they did?
The shooter game.
Didn't they do one for that? I forget.
Did Max Payne? There's Max Payne.
There's Max Payne. No,
it's not great.
No, I was going to say, you know what my bad one is, and it's a tie for two that I've actually seen. Need for Speed movie, because it has
that movie fucking sucks. We watched it together.
It has nothing to do with that game.
Fucking terrible.
Like,
yeah, no, that movie sucks.
You couldn't figure out a racing movie to make and just name it Need for Speed? What the fuck is wrong with you?
That's a bad one.
So bad. And like, you can kind of tell that maybe like, you know, a cross-country race is a good idea to make this movie, but then like just everything about it is awful. It doesn't make any sense. And then the other one, I don't think you ever watched it, but I did, because you were like, Dan, you need to watch it. So I was like, okay. It was Assassin's Creed.
Oh yeah,
that was
with Michael Fassbender.
Like,
I never watched it, but I was like, you need to watch it, Dan. You took that bullet.
Oh man, they're making an Assassin's Creed movie. Okay, Michael Fassbender. Okay, I like him a lot. And then you watch the movie. You watch the movie.
I think we even discussed like,
fuck.
Like, I'm gonna go to the theater to see it, and then it was like no, it's gonna be up like 2 weeks later or something.
Yeah.
And that was at a time where that didn't happen on the regular.
No, so I was like,
holy shit.
So I was like, all right, I'll take the bullet, I'll watch it. And I just remember watching it the whole time, just being like, man, this is not doing it. Like, this is going nowhere. I don't get it. Like, I don't think anybody liked that fucking movie, right? Like, nobody.
No, I don't think so. I never watched it.
You know, shout out to here's another good one.
I got another good one. Or I got another good bad one.
Okay, good bad.
In the same vein as Blood Rain and those, they made a Far Cry movie.
Oh god, that's the one.
And that's really bad.
You know what else were bad? Hitman. Those are both bad.
There were two of them.
Yeah,
I never saw the second one, but I saw the first one. It's not great.
And you know,
and I like Timothy Olyphant.
I did too. Other good ones, just like if you've never seen them, like, the Sonic movies are good.
Sonic movies are both great.
They're both good. Detective Pikachu is a good movie.
Detective Pikachu. I'm not a Pokemon person,
but it's fun, and it's done correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, fucking Assassin's Creed. Man,
I will say on the flip side, I will say on the flip side, the Silent Hill, the second.
Did they make a second one where they based it off of 3?
It's not good,
right?
Yeah, and then they're working on the guy that made the 2006
Weren't they gonna make a Room
working on it. They're making one. It's rumored to be based on that, but that's coming out this fall. So
okay.
I'm excited about that because it's the original guy that made the first one and not the people that made the second one. So maybe it'll be okay. But
here's a question.
I really like that sound.
Here's a question. We probably talked about it when it came out too. Did you watch Monster Hunter?
I have not watched Monster Hunter.
I don't think it's terrible.
But it doesn't really. But it's probably not really great with the source material.
No, it's weird because they don't do it like within the context of the game. You know, like it's people from our world are drawn into that world, so it's just like whatever. But I mean, Mila Jo, I'll watch anything with her in it. But
isn't it like an army crew gets sucked into that world or something? Okay, yeah, I remember that.
It's not terrible. It also doesn't have much of a plot, but it's it's whatever. And then the Tomb Raider movies, like I think we talked about the last one is not. It's whatever. It's a movie that
forgettable.
exists. Yeah. I think we walked out. I think we walked out at the end and we were like, I have already forgotten most of this movie.
Yeah, it just wasn't memorable.
But they're going to make it into a TV show now, I think, right? No, or Amazon's making a new movie.
I can't remember if it's a movie or a TV show, but they're doing something with Tomb Raider.
What about Kyle? You're ready for Borderlands movie, right?
How have they not? Like, how has that not come out?
I don't know.
That has to be done, but they're never even put out a trailer.
They don't talk about it.
They've never. Yeah, it's really bizarre. You would think that we'd be talking about.
I know we're just kind of talking about him now too, but like, I thought Uncharted was very mid. Like,
I never watched it.
It's a movie that exists, and like, if you like Uncharted, it kind of sucks just because it just kind of mashes them all into one thing, and when they really could have spread that out over multiple movies. I didn't understand that part of it.
I mean, if you want to throw it, it's not a movie, but I mean, you can throw in the Last of Us TV show. Obviously, people really like that.
I'm looking forward to the Fallout.
To sit down. I need to sit out and actually watch it more. Like we literally watched first episode when it aired, and then maybe a couple weeks ago watched second episode. It's like I need to actually consistently watch this to finish it.
Yeah.
But it's very well done. Mm-hmm. We've made a turning point where, for the most part, we can make good movies out of this stuff. Yeah, not all the time, but most of the time.
Like Uncharted is not a bad movie. It is probably one of the better ways that could have turned out.
Probably more respectful of the source material than it would have been 20 years ago or whatever.
Oh, for sure. But they would have just made the shit up as they went along.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
Mortal Kombat best. Assassin's Creed, Need for Speed the worst.
That's a good one. That is a good one for sure. Next email we have comes from Harry from Cincinnati, Ohio. He says, "Hi guys, love the podcast. If you could wave a magic wand and put one overly released franchise that needs to go on a break on hold, what would it be and why? Thanks." I mean, the obvious one that comes to mind is Call of Duty, because I just think if you were to, and I'm talking like the main release. I'm not talking about Warzone. Obviously, you're not going to put that on hold. That's a free-to-play thing. But if you were to put the main Call of Duty on hold for a year, and they were going to do this. They were talking about this. They're not doing it anymore.
Right.
I think that franchise as a whole would be better for it.
Yeah.
Give them a chance to give them a chance to update their fucking engines, man.
And the thing is like a lot of games are finally starting to do this.
They're starting to do
we went, you went through a phase where like, what Assassin's Creed game is coming out this year?
Oh my God. Yeah.
And they finally were like, we need to fucking stop and rethink this shit.
Was it Unity or was it Syndicate? What was the one that broke it? Was it Unity was very broken.
Unity was very
I think Syndicate was already too far along.
Yeah.
And they made that decision after.
Unity was busted. That was the one with like melting faces and weird co-op and stuff. Yeah. It was just... That was bad. So, and then like even something like WWE took a break.
Yeah, I was
fixed itself. Golf games took a break.
Madden could use a break for a year, but that'll never happen.
Madden could, like, the thing is, I think you could say like EA Sports video games could take a break because Madden is bad. NHL not good anymore. They don't even make basketball anymore because it got so bad that nobody would buy it. It's tough because like Final Fantasy, maybe they could take a break from all the side shit. Like, as someone who likes Stranger of Paradise, does that game need to exist? No.
I still need to play it.
Yeah, well, I don't. Well, all the
Do
stuff.
You need to? No.
All the stuff's out for it now. So I mean,
yeah,
in theory, but maybe the side stuff needs to take a break. Obviously, the mainline stuff, we're at a cycle where it takes almost a decade between them now.
Yeah.
So like 16's coming out. Is shit 17? That might not even be on this console generation.
No, I won't be. I don't think it will be.
But I could see like a 16 too. I can tell you that. I mean, that'd probably happen.
Depends. It really depends on what they do with this one. Obviously, this one will be successful.
It's going to be successful. I don't think anything's going to stop it. Yeah, I mean, Call of Duty's the obvious answer. Even
Call of Duty's the most
even Battlefield fucked up.
I think Battlefield is on a break because they fucked up the last one so bad.
Yeah, they fucked that up. Stuff like Skyrim and Fallout, like Bethesda stuff doesn't come out fast enough anymore.
For you to really say.
Far Cry could probably take a break.
I'd say Far Cry is a good one too, just because, and especially I'll say this. So that was the other thing. I loaded up Far Cry 5 because they did a next gen patch for it for the 5th anniversary. So now it runs at 4K 60, which is cool.
Yeah.
And if you've never played Far Cry 5, Far Cry 5 is probably the last really good.
I think it's on Plus. I actually was thinking about doing it.
It's on Plus. It's on Game Pass. Yeah. I have a digital copy of it, so I ended up picking the DLC and stuff up for it. But they added a new game plus. I might actually do that. But that was the last really good one. And just going back and messing around in the world for a little bit, I was reminded how good that one is compared to 6.
Right.
Which just
6 and one, as someone who I loved 3, I loved 4, I liked 5, but 6 just didn't seem like I wanted to play it. So maybe that needs a break, and maybe it just needs to.
Yeah.
Because remember, in between all this, they also put out Primal and New Dawn, and all of a sudden it's too much Far Cry content. You need to take a break. Yeah. Because I think even when they announced it, it was
something to get excited about before that. Because you think about 3, obviously hugely successful, kind of reinvigorated that.
Made it mainstream.
2 was not a very good game in comparison.
But 2 was good at the time, but 3 was the first one. In all these franchises, there's always one that puts them on the map. 3 was that Skyrim was that for Elder Scrolls, Fallout 3.
But you had a couple of years in between where it'd be okay, here's 4, okay, here's 5, and then it was okay, well, here's Primal.
Right.
Here's New Dawn now. And it's all right, we're
too much.
Too much.
That could, that franchise could take a break and kind of reset itself.
I mean, especially if they looked at how well that did for Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
it's the same fucking company. Right. Exactly, it's the same company, man.
Well, the thing is, it's
go, well, we're here.
Why not take a break off of that stuff and actually fucking fix Prince of Persia and give me that? I really want Sands of Time remake, but what?
Or the new Splinter Cell.
Yeah, my God.
It's been 10 years.
You guys have, or Ghost Recon could take a break.
Ghost Recon,
although I think it is on a break. I mean, I played that last one and beat it, and I actually thought it was okay, but you don't need those that often, especially when you have a game very similar to it in Division and Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
You have so many games that are the same game at this fucking company.
Ubisoft, is very. They have a lot of similar titles.
I'm just trying to think of
Far Cry's a good
other things that need a break. You know what needs a break? You know what needs a real good break? Pokemon needs a break. Because
that's another good answer because they need a break just to fix their engine.
Just fix it.
Fix it in general.
Would you have ever thought that a Pokemon game would release so broken? Obviously they fixed it, but it was so broken. And it's because they changed it and they're still using old stuff to change it.
Yeah.
Take a break and maybe don't make, tons of side stuff and whatever. I think part of their problem is they don't have a handheld to release games on now either. It all has to be stuff that works on your TV.
Yeah. Well, and think about it too, up until the Switch, they weren't really making home console, they were making handheld stuff.
With pared down graphics, it didn't have to look amazing, but now they do. So it's weird.
So Pokemon's a good one as well. So our final email is going to dive into the other big game event that happened this week, and it is the Mario Brothers movie. I will preface this by saying we had about, I think, upwards of 10 emails asking, did you see Mario movie? Is it good? This is the one that I picked, but no, I read them all. Because this was a little bit different than just, did you guys see the movie? Brian from South Bend, Indiana says, hi guys, I'm sure you've been asked a lot about the Mario movie, but is it just me or the critics being incredibly harsh with this movie? I saw it last night and it is exactly what I wanted it to be. Have we all just lost our sense of joy?
So let's preface this by saying we will probably have some spoilers in here. However, if you're familiar with Mario as a character and Mario video games, none of this is really a spoiler because you could probably fill in the blanks yourself. But just be forewarned, if you don't want to hear anything about it, maybe pause it or, And
now I saw it last night. You saw it today. Matt has not seen it, but he does not care about spoilers. So, because it's Mario.
You can put it together. Go ahead.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I 100% loved it. So I'll say too, this is the first movie I have seen. I kept using the term post-pandemic, but now I'm using post-vaccine because I think that makes more sense because, we're still kind of in the pandemic. I just had COVID.
Sure. So, I mean, COVID's every day now. It's a part of life.
It's every day now. So this is the first movie, though, that I've gone to, and I haven't been to many movies since the pandemic, but this is the first one I went to. It was actually sold out. There was a line of people waiting to see other showings of the movie. My theater was packed. It was 8:00 at night. My theater was packed with a bunch of kids. And I think if you are a Mario fan and you want to see this movie, you want to go to the theater, go see it with an audience. I think it's that type of movie. And I think it's important to see it with an audience, especially for just to see it with young kids, because young kids fucking love this movie. I'll say that. And I don't go to kids movies every day. I'm not the cartoon and kids movie person, but I really wanted to see this because for me, I've always wanted this Mario movie, instead I got the live action one with Dennis Hopper. So, but if this was the movie I would have gotten 30 years ago, holy shit, man. It would have blown my mind as a kid.
This movie was impossible 30 years ago. Not in the way that I feel like,
not in the way that it's made today, for sure.
But I also think there's so many little touches in the movie that didn't exist 30 years ago. We would have got a very bare version of what this was.
Of what this is, because they have 30, 40 years of stuff to play with in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's hidden references. I mean,
all over
the posters
the place
on Mario's fucking wall,
all over the place are hidden stuff.
There's a scene where he's literally playing an NES. He's playing Kid Icarus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like what the fuck? And I'll say this, and maybe I don't know if you agree or you disagree. I had a problem with one voice in the entire movie, and it's not Chris Pratt.
Yeah. So we can talk about that now because I will say, obviously the internet was going nuts about Chris Pratt and even Seth Rogen, going into it. I will say that in the beginning, they do a thing where if you've seen the trailer with the commercial, where their voices are very Mario and Luigi and stuff. It's actually
Brooklyn X,
right? But it's actually an in joke in the movie about them sounding like that. So they immediately downplay expectations of we're just going to talk normal. That's the voice we put on, and when you kind of accept that, and you just kind of realize. It kind of went away. I will say I was one of those people who, the Chris Pratt, I'll give you a voice you've never heard before. It actually is.
He should have never
said that. But I will say halfway through the movie, I didn't even notice or care anymore because it just seemed like he's Mario and he's in a movie.
None of the actors took me out of it. The one I was the most worried about was Seth Rogen because he has a very prominent voice.
It's also dumb because they do make him do his laugh at one point.
And that was the one time where it took me out because when he did his laugh, I'm like, okay, it is Seth Rogen. But if you had told me when I went to see that movie that it was Seth Rogen, besides that laugh, I don't
think you would have known until that part. Yeah.
So, but Princess Peach, Jack Black, you can tell it's Jack Black, but Jack Black is just having the fucking time of his life.
Yeah, because he plays Bowser in the way where you kind of know him if you've played a lot of the games where he is mean and angry and stuff, but he's also kind of a dumbass.
Yeah, exactly.
And just has a very specific the song he sings is just so stupid.
It's literally a song Jack Black wrote. Yeah. He did, but it's funny.
Yeah, it's like you were saying, the voice you didn't like was Cranky Kong. I would agree just because he didn't I think he needed to sound older.
It's not cranky. He's not older. It just kind of came out. I was like, oh, that doesn't sound.
He needed
to
be an older man because,
like,
the whole point of like that was he was the original Donkey Kong from the first game. Like, you know what I mean? And,
exactly.
But
exactly.
Yeah. So on the voice front, like overall, I would not tell you that I had an issue with it.
The animation obviously looks incredible.
Great.
They fucking put all the money they could into.
They do really
between Illumination and Nintendo.
They do the really fun stuff where in like 2 sequences in the movie, they do it 2D, like side to side.
Yeah, and that looks cool.
So here's the other thing. So I went with my family, which, you know, my son is 4. He'll be 5 soon. My daughter is 8. And my son was having the fucking time of his life watching.
You said it was his first movie.
First movie he's ever been to. I thought I was like, this will be perfect. He plays Mario at
perfect.
home. But like when it went 2D that first time, he was like, Dad, this is just like a level in the game. And I was laughing. It made me feel like I like that because like he got what they're going for. So like, but my son's 4. Like this movie is, you see a lot of this shit like online right now where people are like, well, this is a kid's movie. No shit. It's a kid's movie.
Supposed to be.
Like, goddamn. It's a 90-minute commercial for Mario and Nintendo products. And you know what? That's fine. That's what it should be.
It was fine. It was what he
got the stuff like that where it's 2D and he gets to fight Donkey Kong and he turns into Cat Mario at one point. He fucking loved that part. Or when he gets,
great,
you know, quote unquote spoiler, he gets a raccoon suit at one point. My son went ape shit for when he got a raccoon suit. But he got the little stuff. But then there's like we were talking about like references and stuff in the background. Like one of the coolest things like about the entire movie is all the music, and it plays at the right times.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a scene, and you might have seen this too, where they're going down that like tunnel system in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And there's a sign in the background where it says level 1-2. And as soon as
I didn't notice that.
As soon as you see the sign in the background, as soon as it comes on screen,
playing the music?
It plays the underground music from Mario.
Okay.
From the music from that level, and like immediately. And like, but that's the stuff that's there for me. Yeah. As someone who is ingrained in my head for the past 35 years of my life.
Well, like your kid, like for example, like again, a young kid, you know, like your son's age, he's not going to know what Kid Icarus is. No, he's not going to know the poster behind Mario, you know, on his wall is fucking Punch Out. He's not going to know.
He doesn't get that the pizza parlor is Punch Out Pizza.
Exactly, right?
Or like, that the guy playing the arcade game in the beginning, who's the original Mario, and he does the Mario voice. He just unapologetically like, this is me doing the Mario voice. Yeah. But my son's not going to understand that he's playing a Jumpman cabinet, which is Mario's original name. Like that's where all this stuff is coming from.
Yeah.
So that's for me, but the raccoon suit and flying around is for him.
Or the little blue star guy that just wants to talk about death.
I will say that bit went a little too much.
It went a little far, like where I'm just like, again, wow, for a kids movie, that's fucking dark.
For a thing that's like aimed at kids, that went a little too far.
Just a sweet release of death.
Looking,
I'm like, wow,
looking for characters in the background, like the Donkey Kong scene, like they literally just fucking mentioned Diddy Kong by name.
They showed him, and then they showed it was Trixie,
Dixie, and then Chunky Kong is next to him too.
Yeah,
so like that's fun. He comes out to the DK rap. I'm upset they didn't play like more of it. They just kept replaying like the opening bar to it.
That was the other part when the movie started and they started playing that Beastie Boys song. I'm like, oh no, because like when the first time I'm like, oh, are they just gonna fit a bunch of fucking?
They tried to, but they did.
They do badly. A little bit. You thought? See, it didn't bother me. I was just like, the bit they put in there was fine.
Well, yeah, but like there's parts of it where like. Obviously kart racing's in it and they're building karts. They decided to play Thunderstruck for 30 seconds when they're building that takes me out of it because I'm not here for licensed music appearing in the Mushroom Kingdom. Mm-hmm. And like they played, what did they play? Take on Me at that one part in the Donkey Kong
with the one con, where he's driving them around.
Weird. Yeah. Weird, like that takes me out of it. Like No Sleep Till Brooklyn makes sense in the beginning because we're in.
It did in the beginning world. For sure.
But they do a really fun thing of like they flesh out his family. Like you see his parents are in the fucking movie. So weird. The Wrecking Crew guy, that was fun. Like
I enjoyed the part where the one little wizard guy came to talk to Jack Black, and he's playing the piano, and he's like, "Sit down with me," and they just play together. the fucking music.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was fucking incredible.
That was good. Like,
they just
all
said
of the
they
little touches like
talk.
that, like the music stuff is
it's
so good. They do the Mario World theme at one point. Yeah, like obviously like the kart racing Rainbow Road thing was fun.
I thought that was fucking great. Like every part of that.
Like you knew that was going to end the way it did. You're just waiting for it, and then when it happens, you're like, perfect. I laughed when they went in the water, and then like they got swallowed by the eel from Mario 64, and my son was like, "What is that?" And I go, "Oh, remember that's the eel from 64 because he's seen me play it." He goes, "Oh yeah." So like again, that's like little things for
a good reference. Yeah. But
it's a great movie. Like talking about like going back to the email, like have we lost our sense of joy? I think people on the internet write shit for clicks is what the answer is.
I think a lot of people are trying to be edgy.
Yeah. Like, the Mario movie, it's not as good as it could be. There was some dumbass who said the other one was better. Like, go to hell. Like, you're... come on.
My buddy Ross today, he sent me a review, and I don't remember what website it was, but it was one where it was trying to compare this with the Last of Us TV show.
How?
And which, like, you can't compare, like, it was like, what's a better adaptation? It's like, these are so completely different video. Like, you are literally the opposite part of the spectrum. Mario and The Last of Us.
Last of Us is a direct adaptation of a video game. This is a movie inspired.
The first paragraph, this person says, I've never really cared for Mario that much. Okay, so why would I read your review?
Right.
Then?
Yeah.
Like you're already telling me you don't care
not the
for
target
Mario.
Audience.
So why did
get the fuck out of here.
Why does it matter? Like, I mean, and I don't even think, is this movie out in Japan yet? Because that was the thing I was thinking after I watched it. I told my girlfriend, I'm like, this movie's going to easily make $1 billion. But like,
it's easily.
Is it out in Japan yet?
There are going to be people.
They're going to go insane over there.
There are going to be people that see this movie multiple times. And I get it because I you know what? I left that movie and like an hour later, I was like, I really want to watch that movie again.
Yeah, I immediately went on Amazon and I was like, all right, I'll just reserve this.
I'm probably going to buy this Blu-ray.
Just to let you know, it says it's releasing in Japan April 27th.
There you go.
Okay.
And that, but like, like I don't buy movies anymore. I'm buying this one.
Yeah, like I don't buy many Blu-rays that often anymore, but this is one where
it's fun as hell. Like, is it the perfect movie? No. The plot is weak, but it's the plot of a Mario game.
The plot is exactly what it needs to be, but it's not strong. But it doesn't need to be.
It's built oddly. I think they could have done different things. It could have been. There's a better way to do it, but it's also not important.
The one other voice I'll point out that I like you wouldn't know the person is the dude that does Toad.
Oh, he was great.
He didn't even sound like him. He sounded like Toad.
His Toad character was fun. Like
great.
Like like the Mushroom Kingdom and like them going through like the little village and stuff. Super fun. Showing like the old like relics, like keys and all that kind of stuff in that little shop was fun.
Yeah.
Like just everything about the game is fun. The only thing, and you and I think we had the same thought about it, was there's a mid-credit scene, which is
it's
fine.
A whatever scene.
And then there's an end credit scene which is disappointing because it could have been better.
So the problem is, and I knew there was an end credit scene. That's why I waited to see it at the end. But halfway through the movie, they show specifically
just,
something.
Here's a spoiler.
And the minute I saw it,
we're just gonna say spoilers.
We're okay. There's a
count to 5.
The end credit scene
4, 3, 2, 1.
The end credit scene is Yoshi.
Right. So
it's an egg in the sewer that hatches, and
what happens?
Goes, Yoshi.
So what happens is the climax of the movie is the Mushroom Kingdom stuff bleeds back into the real world, and then they defeat Bowser and all this kind of stuff, and it's over. But then the final credit scene is they go back down this tunnel thing they went down before, and there's a Yoshi egg, and it cracks open, and you hear him say his name. Fine, that's perfectly fine. However,
but halfway through that
show a bunch of field of Yoshis running around, so the minute I saw that,
I said to myself, "That's the end credit scene," because he's not in any of the promotional material. He's the one character I'm like, man, it's really weird. Yoshi's not a part of this.
So they do that, and then not only that, but then like doesn't the one guy put an egg on the gift table at the wedding thing?
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's already been referenced twice, and this isn't surprising.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Or if they had found a way to tie the egg that was put on the table to that one. Because maybe it is the same one and it would make sense because everything got sucked in. But maybe it is like sitting next to the cake or something. Like there's a way to do it.
When that movie ended, my girlfriend would not let go. She's like, well, because the way that movie ends is like all of a sudden, like they save everything in Brooklyn, and then the last scene of that movie is like they're like it's like him and it's like Mario and Luigi, and they like get up in the morning, and then they go to work in the Mushroom Kingdom. And she asked me, she's like, so are they back in the Mushroom Kingdom permanently? Is that in Brooklyn? She's like, and she could not let it go. Like, what happened there? And I'm like, that's for a sequel to tell you. She's like, well, why would they
also
tell
clearly
like,
have a way to go back and forth whenever they want.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't matter.
Let's talk about. Let me talk about my favorite part, and you'll love it too. It's the wedding part where like the guests are walking in, and your boy fucking King Bob just fucking walks in. I laughed so hard. I'm like, perfect. And then they actually use him in the movie to like she blows him up. Like it's so fucking funny. But my son loved that part too because he's like King Boo because he recognized all these like little characters and stuff.
So she pointed out after the movie was over because like when they first go down the pipe and they go to the world, obviously Mario and Luigi get separated.
Right.
Mario goes to the Mushroom Kingdom. Luigi goes to like
the
lava area, but then he goes to a haunted house, and it's very reminiscent of Luigi's Mansion.
It's got themes of it,
It's got themes of it for sure, because she asked me, like, why didn't they show any of the Boo ghosts there? And I'm like, again...
It's not Luigi's Mansion. It's a haunted house.
It's not Luigi's Mansion. There's a sequel. Yeah. We can do that stuff in the sequel.
The hope is now, like, clearly it sets up for a sequel. Clearly it's going to make a shitload of money. You know, Illumination was able to pound out how many fucking Despicable Me Minions movies within the course of, like, 10 years. But my hope is, like, it's kind of a joke, but I'd love to see the Super Smash verse where like Donkey Kong could get a movie now, like him and Diddy could go do something, or like obviously like I would kill for a Zelda movie. It could look like this.
I would like to see a Zelda movie animated or
darker.
I would like to see that. Yeah, a little darker. But yeah, I like the thing is this movie's already a huge success.
Do the main character. Like just do the main character.
When I walked out of the theater last night, the theater I went to, they're playing this movie like every 15 minutes. There were people waiting to get into the theater that I was leaving for whatever the next showing was there, and there was a line out the door.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And like I said, I haven't seen this since Rise of Skywalker. Like, so I just was surprised. Like I knew it was going to be big. But like I've been to movies, you know, post having the vaccine, and like it's usually you and like two other people. Remember Fast 9?
Yeah, there was nobody there. It was us.
Spider-Man was like half full. The Batman for me was like half full. I mean, but there were no lines.
Right. It wasn't like pre like Avengers and all that kind of shit.
Even Top Gun. I went and saw Top Gun Maverick opening night. Even that was like half full. This, I'm talking lines were out the fucking door.
Because it's literally for everyone. Like,
and that's what I said. Like I shot a video review for my channel today that I have to go edit because something was, you know, I put a clip from the movie in there with no audio, and they're like, copyright. Yeah. So I got to take that out. But I literally said the end and the whole point. Say this movie is literally for fucking everyone.
It is.
Yeah.
Literally anyone can enjoy it. I mean, my mom called me this week and was like, "When can you get the Mario movie so I can see?"
Yeah.
The other thing she wants to see.
The best part about it too is like it is a very crisp 90-minute movie. It is absolutely. Constantly moving.
You're never bored once.
Moving. They don't bother to waste time with like why Peach is like so accepting of him. It just is. And you know what? It's fine because you can fill in the backstory in your head from the years. Did you like the baby Luigi and Mario reference stuff, dude? That was good.
That was great.
It's funny. It's just like it exists. You know, they I liked how they reference like, is Peach not from this world? And you kind of like they go into that kind of stuff.
I didn't know that.
You kind of know that in general.
Make that part of the
but the funny part is when they talk about that, my daughter was like, I thought she has a dad. And I go, well, in the games, yes, but obviously they're going to go a different direction.
They're going to go a different route here, which that's fine.
I had to explain to them who Pauline was because they show up because she shows up in the beginning because she's the mayor of Brooklyn, which is fun. There's just like so many little things. The more I think about it, the more I love it.
You can easily go and watch it a second and third time and pick out more cool things.
I think it's another reason why I want to own it. I want to pick it apart and like just rewatch parts and look at stuff and listen to the music.
It's really fun.
Yeah. It's just,
I mean, I want to watch it on my OLED TV with this Dolby Atmos. That's what I want so bad.
On my big TV.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I think, you know, the audience score on Tomatoes proves it. Like,
it says everything.
The critics can say whatever the fuck they want. It doesn't matter. Like, is it a 10 out of 10? No, it's not perfect, but it's a 9.
No.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Great movie. Fantastic. If for some reason you listen to this podcast and you're on the fence about it, go see it.
Yeah, I'd say, like, I don't. The thing is, I don't know anybody that is like on the fence. Like I said, my mom again, who called me this week, you know, just to talk about random stuff, but like, she's not a big video game person, but she remembers Mario from when I was a kid, and that was the first. She's like, I would really like to see that Mario movie. So
makes sense.
Is she going to get every fucking reference? Is she going to get, let me put it this way, will she get the blue shell reference in that movie?
No.
Probably not.
Or the
but will she have a blast watching it? Absolutely.
Or the musical cues, or...
you don't have to get everything out of it. No. That's the thing. And that's why I say it's literally for everyone. There's nothing in there that's like offensive or like, you know, oh, I don't think this person would go and see it. And then the other thing I'd say is like, I think this movie had to be this good because, again, this isn't just like, okay, we've made Sonic, we made all these other video game movies. This is literally the number one Mount Rushmore video game character is Mario.
Yeah.
Well, when you think video game, who's the first character you think of? Mario.
It had to be, and it had to be at least as good as the Sonic movie because the precedent was like kind of set with.
I think it's just as good.
Yeah, I think it's just. I think they're both good.
I agree.
And I mean, you think about it, they're wildly different how they were handled. That's live action with CG. This is completely animated, but like they both work just fine. So
yeah,
go see it.
Great movie. Go see it.
It's Easter weekend. Go see it. Take your kid. Like, I don't know any kid. Like, that was the thing I saw. Like, I don't have children. I'm like, man, if I had children, like, I couldn't imagine being that age.
Oh, I know.
And seeing this movie, it would blow my mind.
My son loved it. He got little references. He even got, like, I will say there were parts where, like, some of it can get a little intense in terms of like peril or danger or something. So some of that stuff he was kind of like, I'm not really into this, but when it was like that sequence with like him and Donkey Kong towards the end, loved it. He could not get enough of that part. The mini mushroom thing, they love that to hell because they were like, oh, so that's what the blue one does? I said, yep, that's what that one does.
Yeah.
So they laughed at that part. Like there's a lot of, the thing is, I think as an adult, you won't laugh at it, but you'll smile the whole time. I just have a good feeling. My kids laughed. I didn't laugh, but I had a good feeling the whole time I watched. We talked about this beforehand. It reminds me a lot of the Lego Movie, which was like a movie that movie specifically had no right to be good.
Right.
It was like a Lego movie, like the first one, had no right to be good, and it was incredible. And I just remember feeling happy the whole time watching the Lego Movie.
Yeah,
this is how I felt watching this. Just happy.
Understandable.
Absolutely.
And then like we can go anywhere from here. That's the best part. There's so much we can do from it. We can do. I would have loved my ideal end credit scene would have been like Wart showing up, like he comes through a pipe or something, or although that's a little weirder because that's technically like a dream in the Mario universe, but who cares? It would have been like Wart coming through or setting up like another villain that's not Bowser. Because are there a lot of those? Not really, but Wart would have been a good place to go next.
It would have been a good place to go for sure. But anyways, that'll wrap up emails. As always, send your emails to podcast572@gmail.com. We enjoy reading them all. And that's going to wrap up this edition of the podcast. We will be back in 2 weeks for another edition of Podcast 572. Thank you, as always, for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe.